the meeting via audio or video, please let us know first. This meeting is being recorded both ways for minutes, etc. And we will take a roll call.
Richard Johnson's here.
Louis Puga's here.
Mark LePage here.
Jeff Livingstone's here.
Michael Ryan here.
Roger Trahan here.
Nicole Charamonti.
Full house.
Full house.
Okay, thank you very much. Without further ado, I will open up the first public hearing, which is the NOI for 15 Liberty Way.
Yep, so the applicant has requested a continuance. We are waiting for the stormwater management plan approval, which is slated for the planning board meeting next Monday.
Okay, right,
And for the town planner, everything should be fine now, so.
okay.
How long does he propose to keep delaying that? We've been looking at this since May.
It's not, yep, so it's not just exactly on the applicant, it's between Beta and then there's their engineers as well, so there have been active revisions. So while you may not be seeing it on the conservation side, they definitely do have active revisions on the planning board side.
Okay, all right. Is there anyone in the audience or online that has any questions about 15 Liberty Way? There being none, I will take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 15 Liberty Way to January 9th at 7:01 PM.
Second that.
Okay,
Vote to continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
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 Continue, I do not have the power. Continue.
What happened to you, Gary?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
I didn't bring my
Okay.
Damn it.
Now we'll move to the second public hearing, which is the NOI for Louise Drive. It says here we are waiting on Beta peer review, yes?
And the applicant, so we have received that now, so the applicant is working through responses
Okay.
and has requested a continuance.
Okay, all right. So unless there's any questions online or in the audience about Louise Drive, I will take a motion to continue.
I'll give you,
Go ahead.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Louise Drive to January 9th at 7:02.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I'll vote to continue.
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 That's all we ever do.
Means I will move on to the third public hearing, the NOI for Lot 160 Spring Street. It says here that we are waiting on an applicant response?
Yep, so I received that this afternoon. It was too late, it was past the deadline to be considered, but I do see Peter on Zoom. I did offer him to come and provide an update if the commission was amenable to that, but
Sure.
without discussion.
Okay, sure. If you would like to provide an update, please do so.
Okay, good evening. My name is Peter Lavoie. I work with D&L Design Group. Like Rika had said, we did finally finalize the review for Lot 1 per Beta's comments, and we submitted it late. So I just wanted to, just to show up and request a continuance. We made the changes to the plan, but we still would need to hear back from Beta and Brika on the changes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Are there any people in the audience or online that have any questions about Lot 160 Spring Street? Okay, there being none, I'll take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 160 Spring Street to January 9th at 7:03 PM.
I'll second that.
I'll vote to continue.
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 It's continued. Thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to the next public hearing for Lot 360 Spring Street. I'm assuming this is in the same situation, correct? Yes?
Yep.
Yes, correct?
Yes.
Peter, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, Peter, okay. Nothing further on this, right? Just same thing? Okay, all right,
Yes.
okay. If there are no comments online or in the audience for Lot 360 Spring Street, I will take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 3 on 60 Spring Street to January 9th at 7:04.
I'll second it,
All right,
and a vote to continue.
Continue.
vote to continue.
Continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continued. Thank you.
We're cooking with butane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Now I'll open up the fifth public hearing, which is the NOI for Prospect Street Culvert Repair. We have received a peer review response, and the applicant is still working through the response,
Yep,
correct?
and we also received DEP comments, which I
We
have
did.
included in your packets.
Okay, all right.
So earlier, after I started the iteration of this agent report, I did receive a request for continuance.
Okay. Is there anything specific that you wanted to point out in the?
Yes, I did want to point out to the commission that the applicant has filed this as an ecological restoration project. Technically, the commission makes the determination if a project is considered ecological restoration. There are certain parameters set forth in the Wetlands Protection Act. Unfortunately, my opinion that it's not, it's a culvert repair due to a failed culvert. It is not a restoration project, despite perhaps having restoration characteristics like openness ratio, things of that nature. So I did want to put that on your radar. DEP calls that out. I'm fairly certain Beta does call that out. And then,
Can I ask you a quick question?
yep,
I mean, is there an advantage to it being classified as an ecological restoration?
you don't have to meet all of the, sorry, I got pregnancy brain. You don't have to meet all the thresholds.
Okay.
So
Oh,
you
I
could-
see, okay.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
the lower, basically a lower bar.
Yes,
lower bar.
exactly.
Okay.
It is less steps to get to yes.
I see, okay.
So additionally, there's likely, as we would all assume, a modest amount of fill due to working within the resource area. Culverts in, I wouldn't personally suggest removing the culvert. It is fairly large, but I have spoken to Mike Maglio, and they are amenable to doing replication. So internally, we're working through that, and then Beta is still reviewing technically.
Now, when we get Beta's comments back, will they make a recommendation?
So we've already received
I'm
Beta's
sorry, sorry.
comments.
Okay,
DEP has to respond to that. So Beta technically doesn't, right, their job is not to make
Ah.
recommendations. They
Right.
point out things to the commission. The commission has to make that decision.
right. Okay.
Hasn't this culvert
Yeah.
been installed?
It's
Yep.
done, yeah.
So that's another thing too, because it's an after the fact, technically ecological restoration doesn't apply.
Of course, yeah, of course.
So, but yes, it's,
So what else do we have to do? We just have to fix up
so,
around the entrance and the exit?
well,
The
to
outfall
start,
tubing?
it needs a technical review to make sure that it was engineered correctly.
Okay,
If it wasn't, then qualms for removal.
right.
But
Jesus.
I do know Mike Maglio looked at it. You gotta be careful, Richard. I do
So
know
we're-
Mike Maglio
There's some
has,
thought that perhaps it wasn't?
to keep all applicants down on the same bar, yes, sometimes when people go in and install culverts or just drop something in a stream, not often is it engineered. We
Right.
have examples of that on Lincoln Street. So yes, to make sure that everybody gets a fair and equal playing field and an equal review regardless of the applicant, these are the checks and balances in place, regardless if
sense.
it's after the fact.
Yeah, that makes sense, okay.
Okay.
So when do you think we will understand whether that makes sense?
So I have spoken to Mike, about engineering. I am confident that it was engineered correctly. Sorry, I'm pulled to Zoom. But we just need to see that documentation. That's all.
Okay,
And,
um,
oh, go ahead, I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say, and there's plenty of time between now and our next meeting for,
okay.
um,
So right now, you're not
DPW.
foreseeing any issues? Okay,
No.
well, that's good. Okay,
No.
that was really the question.
and then from a restoration and replication side, if the commission's okay with it, I can move forward with DPW and
Okay,
guide them on that.
Okay.
Think of a few options.
That was my next question, okay, yeah.
So, other than that, I mean, it's pretty easy.
Is there room for restoration? Probably pretty limited.
So that's a good question, because, they have to work within their right-of-way
Right.
Yeah,
on
right.
Prospect
Correct.
Street.
Correct.
So something that I had ran by Mike Maglio was perhaps vegetating the riprap,
Oh, nice.
because there's a lot of riprap and trap rock out there. Another option was perhaps replicating somewhere on that stream that may not be on Prospect Street, but you're still having that same hydrologic connection.
Yeah, all right, good.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
And this was the emergency repair, so they had to rush and get something in there to
Well, yeah,
address it. and
yep,
then-
so they had,
but- But now they have to run the numbers too.
exactly.
And to
That's
see if it's
exactly
gonna
right. Yep.
Last longer than.
So
There's a
they're,
resident that was significantly flooded.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
it was
and,
pretty
you know,
bad,
and-
and it was a very undersized culvert anyways.
You know,
And it was it hadn't been rated as failing, but it was likely going to
Go.
fail.
No, it's good that, you know,
So I had given them emergency authorization
Yeah.
last winter. It expired due to all the things that you Franklin residents have been privy to this past summer. It hasn't gotten filed until now, so. Yep. Ideally, you would be seeing this so much closer to construction.
Right,
Yeah.
right, okay.
it's good they can get in there and, you know,
Yeah.
do what they need to do, so,
Mhm.
no, it's good.
Okay.
We just gotta close it up.
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So, are there any questions about Lot 1, 60 Spring Street? I'm sorry, the Prospect Street culvert repair, sorry. In the audience or online? Okay, there being none, I'll take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Prospect Street culvert repair to January 9th at 7:05 PM.
Second that,
I'll vote to continue.
Continue?
continue,
Continue?
Continue?
continue.
Continue?
Okay. Continue, thank you very much. Okay. So now I'll move on to the sixth public hearing, which is for Lot 2, 844 Lincoln Street. It says a note here that there's a ongoing review, correct?
Yep. I just received a response from the applicant, haven't yet sent it to Beta, so we're working through review, and the applicant did request a continuance.
Okay, all right. Are there any questions in the audience or online for Lot 2, 844 Lincoln Street? If not, I'll take a motion.
All right, I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 2, 844 Lincoln Street, January 9th, 7:06.
Second, vote to continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
Okay, continue. Okay. And now, similar situation. The seventh public hearing is for the NOI for Lot 384 Lincoln Street. Assuming the same exact thing, yes? Yes?
Correct.
All right. Again, any questions about Lot 384 Lincoln Street in chambers or online? Give it none, I'll take a motion to continue.
Give me a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 3, 844 Lincoln Street to January 9th at 7:07 PM.
Second that,
Vote to continue.
Continue?
vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
Continued. Thank you. Okay, and I'll open up the eighth hearing, public hearing, which is for 55 Constitution Boulevard. I also have a note here about there is an ongoing review, correct? Yes?
Another thing,
Yeah.
everybody had vacation.
Yes,
Just received
Yes, okay.
applicant response.
okay. So,
Mr. Chair,
go
members
ahead.
of the commission, good evening.
Good evening.
Todd Morey from Beals Associates. Excuse me. With me is Tyler Lapshansky from our office and Jeff Sullivan from Northbridge Partners, sitting just behind us. So as Ricolai noted, we did just submit the responses to two different peer reviews, one from DEP, their comments, and the other one from Beta Group. Tyler actually has 9 sets of hard copies here. I don't know. There you go. Give it to her. Being that we just submitted these, and you're probably gonna have them circulated to you either this evening or shortly, you haven't had a chance to look at them. if it's okay with you, I can go through them very, very briefly. I won't go into too much detail, but just
Sure.
give you the overview on
Sure.
kind of what we've been looking at. Also, just for overall project process, so you're aware, we have one meeting with the planning board. Quite literally today, we got comments on our planning board application, so we'll be going through those. I would expect those will be turned around probably early January, and then hopefully will be on your next agenda as well as the planning board's January agenda. We're gonna be seeing them on Monday, but it will probably be as brief of an update as this one will be, so that's kind of where we're at with it. The first comment letter that we got was from Mass DEP when they issued their file number. They had a few minor comments. I think a couple of them were just, they maybe just didn't understand the stormwater management system. But running right through them, they talked about the post-development conditions at point of analysis 1. The stormwater volume was slightly higher than the pre-development volume, which is true. It is. It's about a half an acre foot higher. But we pointed out in our response that it's the rates that are regulated. We reduced all the rates going to that point. Therefore, we believe that standard 2, stormwater standard 2 was met. We also picked up the same comment from the Beta Group on their planning board review, so we'll be providing additional
So rates
information.
versus volume, basically.
Correct, yeah, so Beta picked up on the volume thing as well, and our response back to them will begin with, yeah, it's a rates thing that we have to worry about. The volume is a very minor increase, but it goes into an existing overall detention basin in that park, if you recall. So, like I said, we'll be providing more information to that. DEP goes on and says the applicant proposes 2 subsurface infiltration basins. They note that we had test pits in one of them. We did not have test pits in the other one. The reason we didn't have test pits in the other one is because it's not actually an infiltration basin. It's a closed piped detention system. So there's no test pitting required for that because there's no risk of running into groundwater or that kind of thing. Also, Beta brought that up on our planning board review.
Okay.
I think what we're gonna do with that at the planning board level is we're just gonna ask that, since it's a construction issue that they're concerned about, prior to construction, we'll do a couple of test pits out there and just see if there's gonna have to be any dewatering considerations or not. But as far as infiltration versus detention, no more test pits are required. Then they go on and talk about the mapping, the NRCS mapping of the soils. They noted that in the soils report, it's all C and D. In our test pits that we actually did, we found some loamy sand soils where we're proposing the infiltration system, which is exactly why we're putting that system where we're putting it. So we went and we explained that the test pits were excavated actually by a licensed PE as well as a licensed soil evaluator.
Okay.
So we feel that we had some pretty good eyes on that. And then their final comment was to clarify the proposed treatment trains to meet our TSS and locally the phosphorus standards. We pointed out where they were in the original stormwater, and then in the attachment to the letter, we just reprinted them again, just for clarity. So, and with that, they issued file number 1591301 for the project. So any correspondence that you see coming in from us will also include that number moving forward. Beta's comments were, relatively minor going through. There were some housekeeping comments that we responded to. And in the packet that we have submitted today, rather than reattach the entire plan set, we just reattached the sheets that have changed. We're going to employ the same methodology with the planning board response, with the hope that by the time we're done with reviews here and reviews with planning board, we can put together what we call a control plan set that responds to every single comment. That way, at the end of this whole process, this town hall has one final set of plans that reflects everything you folks have seen and heard, as well as everything planning board.
Makes sense.
No confusion going into the
So you have to
construction
flip
process.
around all these different plans and find all the parts and pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it helps the confusion when you go into a construction process. We'll have contractors coming in trying to pull building permits. You'll have building permit folks looking back.
Yep.
It's a paperwork thing on our end. So their first comment was that when they wrote the letter, the DEP comment file number hadn't been issued. We responded that it has. Really, the thing that I would request that you spend some time thinking about was their second comment, which indicates that we hadn't identified individual trees to be removed in the buffer zones, which is true, we hadn't. Your regulations require 1-inch tree identifications in the buffer zones. What we had done is we had actually gone out, we did have some data locating 4-inch and larger trees. We keep that on file for our own records, and so we can talk to contractors intelligently about it. We've put those on the plans in this. If we need to file a waiver with you folks, that would be fine, we can do that, or a request to alter that from 1-inch to 4-inch. But that's something we'd like to discuss with you, if that would be
So
adequate.
typically, we'll go to 3. Would it be that much tougher to get it to 3? You've done it to 4, right?
Yeah, we had done it to 4, and like I said, the reason that we typically would do that is just so we can kind of inform the contractor that, hey, you know, you're gonna be cutting, what is it, 125? You're gonna be cutting 125 trees, you know, and then, once you get up to 4, you actually need a saw to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you, a 1-inch tree, a lot of times the excavators will just knock those out. So that's why we had picked 4. If you really want us to go to 3, we can go to 3, that's fine.
Well, let me just say, what we have done over the past 2 years particularly is, we think the 1-inch metric is too constraining. I think it's too, and for some of these places, it's just not, it's not realistic, it's not feasible to do. It's too much of a burden. And that's the reason why historically we have gone to 3. So 3 would be consistent with pretty much everyone else that's come through in the last year and a half, 2 years.
You won't hear a complaint from me.
So if you
If you're willing to go
could-
to 3,
it
we're fine.
just, I mean, between 3 and 4 is not a big deal, to be very honest. It's just that it would be consistent with everyone else.
Yes, that's fine, yeah.
So, I mean, my druthers would be try to keep it 3 if you could do that.
Yeah, we have other field work that we have to do on site.
Okay.
So the next time either Tyler or somebody else from our office is out there,
Right,
we'll just send him, we locate those with a survey grade GPS anyway.
okay,
So it's not like we have to get big survey crews out or anything. So
okay,
It's
okay.
a pretty quick identification.
Okay,
And since
okay.
they've already done the 4s, just go back and
Okay.
pop the 3s.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that, we'd appreciate that. Thank
Sure.
you.
No problem. The construction sequence, they missed the construction sequence in there.
Okay.
We pointed out where it was in the plans, in the plan set, it's on the erosion control notes thing. And then we also had been talking with the general contractor and have some additional information that we added there. So we actually even made the construction sequence a little bit more specific, including timelines. So this task will take 10 weeks, this task will take 6 weeks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So we've identified where that is and where they can find that. The project disturbs more than an acre. As such, a construction general permit through EPA will be needed and a SWIP. We agree with that, fully intend to do that. We just asked if we can make that a condition of, hopefully we get to the point where you'll consider an order of conditions, and if you do, if we can make that a condition that we copy
Yep.
you on
Yep.
our SWIP file.
Yep.
Invasive, they noted invasive species in some of the buffer zones. We agree with that, there is, and what we've done is we've added some invasive species control language into both our general notes as well as our erosion control plans, just to make the contractor aware where they are, what they have to do, and how, if they need to, dispose of those without
Okay.
causing further harm.
So is that typically gonna be physical removal or any pesticide involvement?
No, it'd be physical removal, yeah.
All right, thanks.
If they run into areas where they are.
Perfect, thank you.
Snow storage area, they requested that we move it. We added a snow storage area shown kind of on top of the infiltration system. So if you can recall the site plan, got a little bump out for some trailer parking. That's where we have the snow storage. What we did is we moved it back into the overall turnaround. Does a couple of things. Gets it out and away from the buffer zone, but it still makes it on pavement, so when the snow melts, it'll go drain into the overall drainage system and through the treatment train, which is what we were trying to do in the first place. Proposed contours depicted over erosion control barriers. We noted that that's really a graphical thing. When you look at You know, if you actually scale the line work on our drawings, I think our erosion control barriers scale to about 6 feet wide. They're not really that wide in real life, so we just noted that we'll pull it away a little bit, but it's a graphical thing. Here's something we actually did miss, and it's kind of odd and different in this town than it is in most other towns, and I'm surprised we missed it, but we did. We showed silt fence on the site, and they picked up on that, and so we've changed that out to change all of the perimeter barrier and where we had silt fence and hay bales before to a 12-inch diameter filter lock.
Thank you.
And I think we've noted that it's a biodegradable netting too.
So again, just FYI for historical sake, we used to have a lot of trouble with those items being left, and they would be around forever and ever and ever. And you drive around town, and you just see like everywhere these things, but they would never
believe
go
it.
away, you know? So they're like plastic in the ocean. I mean, it was really bad. So we just said, okay, that's it, no more, you know, everything has to be biodegradable.
And you've had good luck with the filter locks?
Yes.
Good, that's interesting, because there's a lot of projects that we work on where, you know, years and years after the project has been constructed, you
Yeah.
wander through and it's still there. Even though we've
Really?
told contractors, get it out, you can do it. There was a site that I did in Maine probably 20-plus years ago. And 3 years ago, I was up there hunting with my youngest son, and we went through the woods, and and I'm like, you know, Dylan, I know where I am. I'm pretty sure I know where I am. And we came into the woods behind the development. There was still a line of silt fence up there from
Really?
20-plus years. So, yeah,
20-plus years.
that stuff lasts. If nobody touches it and the weather can't get to it, like if it's out in the woods,
Yeah.
it'll sit there for a long, long time.
Interesting, okay.
So, like I said, we had missed that, but we've corrected it on the plans here. The next comment was about some of the mitigation which, in the buffer zone, which I think we touched on at the last meeting. We've tried to quantify that a little bit, and we're also in the process, we revised the landscape plan for this resubmittal here. We're probably gonna have to do it again for the planning board. And I think the next change for the planning board may add some more deciduous plantings, especially towards the rear of the project.
Okay.
So I think we've addressed it here, but stay tuned because there's probably another version of that landscape plan coming out. They've talked about pervious areas around the perimeter of the development. We had said we're removing that, and then they asked for seeding specifications, so we actually gave them the specific seed mixes and what's gonna be in them, in this packet here. Let's see, next.
So the lawn space was just ornamental, no functionality to it, and so
Excuse me,
Lawn space.
the lawn space.
Lawn.
yeah,
So
that was just ornamental.
So vegetating that, no worries.
Yeah, there's no worries.
All right, great.
Let's see, defers to the commission on the approval of the project narrative due to bylaw requirements being including who is performing the work and the proposed activity. So again, it was just a comment from Beta to defer to you folks. Again, they commented on the construction sequence, same response as their earlier comment. The applicant should submit a variance request for work proposed within the 0 to 25-foot buffer and the 25 to 50-foot buffer. This one was a little bit interesting because we actually are working, at first I read this and I said, we're not doing anything in that 0 to 25, but we are. There's some area of pavement that currently exists in the 0 to 25-foot buffer, specifically right around the existing retaining wall. And we're actually pulling that back a little bit. So we're removing pavement and revegetating an area, and I guess that's why we probably didn't request the variance. So I will
Right.
defer to your wishes. If you would like us to request a variance to remove the pavement and revegetate that 0 to 25-foot buffer, I'm fine filling out some paperwork and doing that. But it's up to you.
Hold on.
And I really had the same commentary about the
if
0,
we-
the 25 to 50.
If we don't, are we inconsistent?
I would say procedurally.
Yeah, procedurally.
So procedurally, you need-
Even if it's a temporary mobilization impact, I mean, it's just slap it on a letterhead, that's really it.
that's
All right.
not a problem at all.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I don't want people coming back to you later on and going, hey, you gave him.
Well, that's just the
I mean,
thing.
what you say makes sense, but just
Right, right.
procedurally, we want to make sure we do it.
We
I totally-
understand the
I
end
totally get it.
result, yeah, we, yeah.
Yeah. And that was the extent of the comments.
Okay.
So,
Right.
Thank you.
so we've got a couple of minor things that we'll touch up for you to make sure that you have the paperwork you
Okay,
need and
yeah.
all that. But other than that, like I said, we are working on some comments for planning board, one or two which will cross over with things that you folks will see, like it's the landscaping plan, and some more commentary probably on the stormwater, but other than that, that's kind of where we stand.
It was really helpful, thank you.
Yeah, it was extremely helpful, thank you.
Thanks for the rundown.
It was great.
I just had a question about
Sure.
the invasive species removal.
Mhm.
Is there any way that we can get that into, do you have that written up somewhere?
Yes.
Or for like
Yep.
disposal and what?
It'll be in this pack, when you see this packet, it'll be in there, and the plan sheets that it's on, so it'll be actually part of the construction drawings themselves. So, we try to put them on note sheets in the construction drawings, so we have a hammer with the contractor, and say, no, you have to do it, that's your contract.
Right, I see, yeah, yeah. Anything else, guys? No? Any questions for the project in the audience or online? Okay, there being none, I'll take a motion to continue that.
Give a motion to continue the NOI for 55 Constitution Boulevard till January 9th at 7:08.
Second, vote to continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
and continue. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thanks for your time.
That was
great.
helpful.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Now I'll open up the ninth public hearing of the evening. This is the NOI for 124, 126 Grove Street.
It's the first tab on that, first tab over on the right too on that laptop. Anybody wants to-
We all set?
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, Amanda Cavalieri with Garrier and Hellman. I have, excuse me, Nicole Hayes with Goddard Consulting and Edward Cannon with local counsel.
Okay.
I gotta stand up real quick and I'll flip the plans for the proposed and then sit back down. But overall view of the project, it's a, New England Appliance Group has been in town for 40-plus years over on Grove Street. They've done a few expansions and they're looking to continue their stay in Franklin. And in order to do that, they ended up purchasing 124 Grove Street as well. So you're looking at two parcels here. 126 is New England Appliance Group, 124 is off of Prime Park, a business development park in that area as well. So the purchase of that property was in order to be able to get some setbacks for proposed addition of an 85,000 square foot add-on for warehousing purposes. New England Appliance is a, for those who are not familiar with them, they are a cooperative buying, warehousing, distribution, and marketing organization. And they're a business to about 65 employees. As you can see from this is the existing conditions. You can see that there's a lot of wetlands on the property, mainly to the south of the building, that run along the back in between 124 and 126, and Kenwood Circle is down to the south. We had an ORAD that was taken care of by Goddard Consulting prior to us starting with the notice of intent process to determine, to make sure that the wetland lines were agreed upon before we started. There's 3 detention and infiltration drainage areas on site. We have basin number 1, basin number 2, and basin number 3. And out of the 2 areas, basins 2 and 3 have there's been some areas that have turned over to wetlands that have been delineated and discussed with Guard Consulting and Ricolab. The proposed project, as I had mentioned, is to do an 85,000 square foot addition on the rear side of the project, the existing building. So you can see that the stormwater basin that is to the north of the site is being filled in, and the access ways, the drainage areas will be replaced in an underground retention area. It's gonna go under the parking lot, and then we'll plan on utilizing the existing basin number 2 for the remainder of the infiltration.
So they're not going to bridge the buildings, they're just gonna do the, they're not gonna bridge the buildings, they're not gonna build?
Nope, so this is gonna remain as an office park and a business building.
Okay.
Current businesses, I know, has businesses there as well.
Okay.
And it's the existing warehousing building with the addition. And the entrances are going to be changed. These dark gray areas are the proposed increases or changes to pavement areas. This allows,
I'm sorry, so where's the parking now?
so the existing parking is the light gray. So this is all the
Oh,
light gray.
okay, I got you. So the dark gray is the new parking.
Yep,
All
so the
right, thank
dark
you.
gray, all
Got
the
it.
improvements are proposed on 126, 124 Grove Street, which is over here. There's no proposed changes. The main purpose for the two properties together is for side yard setback requirement.
So what's, just curious, the rationale for expanding the parking? Would you anticipate the expansion of the building is gonna bring in more customers, more employees?
Nope, we're not anticipating more customers, more employees or anything like that. They're merely doing it to enhance the maneuverability and the functionality of the site. Currently, they have an access way over here that, to the east of the or the west of the building, that the trucks come in and go around, they'll end up queuing around the back of the building, and this is the only entrance for the truck traffic for the existing structure.
Mm-hmm.
And by adding, or connecting into 124 Grove Street, we're now able to use Prime Park as the main access. So it's only incoming traffic that's planning on going down Prime Park. And there'll be some roadway improvements, access improvements over here, so the truck traffic can now come down the side of the building, which it currently does, from the higher drive. And then we have 31 trailer truck parking areas to allow for any of the trucks that are coming in with dropping off or picking up materials and appliances, that they have a place to park and wait in the event one of the bays is full. They have,
So the bays are all on the back side of that building?
yes, the bays are all on the back side of the building. So right now, the existing tractor trailers come in this way, come around the building, and then they'll come forward, and then they'll back up to all the bays that are along the side.
Because right now, you can see from Grove Street, tractor trailers in the queue, if you will.
I guess this is the proposed, can you flip back to the existing? I just want to see how they're getting in right now and what's the change.
Yeah.
You know, what's going to change after the fact.
So right now, the existing conditions, the truck traffic, tractor trailers come in from the northern access point off of Grove Street, come around the building, and either queue along this side, and then they park and back up to the storage, or the bays in the back of the building. Employee parking is currently in the front of the building off of Grove Street and to the south of the building. So we're adding some additional parking, just to make the site a little bit safer for any of the existing employees. And then the truck traffic is now going to be coming in from the northern access on Prime Park, so it'll be entrance only. We have been working with the other businesses out there, including Ted's office space as well. And we don't anticipate any traffic impacts to any of the properties that are on the site. It's going to enhance maneuverability around the site to allow that truck traffic to come in, and then they'll have a waiting area down to the south of the site.
So the parking for 31 trucks, you're paving over quite a bit of wetlands there, right? I mean, is that do you have that many trucks that need to park and wait typically, or is that like anticipated?
So the wetlands that are identified on the plan are part of a stormwater basin. So it was originally designed and supposed to be utilized as a stormwater basin, and it's turned over time.
But it
And
has-
it's under the local jurisdiction only. So,
But it has wetlands characteristics now, right? You said,
Yes.
yeah.
so this area up here is going to be changed, or it's gonna be built upon. So it's gonna be filled in, new addition, and then we have replication areas that are going down to the south, and any of the wetland requirements and replication areas I can have turned over to Nicole. And then we also have.
I guess just, I'm sorry, just to focus on it, I mean, my question is the expansion of the parking lot back by the bays. I mean, that, you know, I get the building expansion, right, and you're filling in wetlands for that, but I just wonder if that extension of the parking lot is really necessary, because you're.
Very much so.
Okay,
Right now,
that's what.
when the truck traffic comes in, if they're waiting for a bay, they'll park along here, along the edge. So that minimizes space for the trucks to
Okay.
turn around.
That's what I
So
was
this
asking.
will allow them to back off out of the way and wait, instead of parking along the side and jamming up other trucks. They have no place to wait right now.
Okay, that was, thank you for
Yep.
explaining
It
that.
just improves traffic flow.
Yes.
Got it.
That's-
And I have
We'll
a
give some
question.
place for the trucks to go while they're unloading too. That's,
So you're gonna increase the size of the building as well?
Yes, that area in the back, it's about an 80.
No, in the front. Oh, is that the back?
Well, it's the north side of the site, so
so
this
they're
is the
putting in
front.
a detention
That's
center.
the north
It's
side
tough
of
to
the site.
pick, right?
So this is gonna be the proposed addition, it's about 85,000 square feet. And it's warehousing,
No, you're gonna fill in the wetlands?
detention pond.
Well, it's a
yes.
wetland now.
And that's.
Yes, per the ORAD, it is an isolated vegetated wetland. That is the determination that the commission made.
Yes.
That is correct, Nicole.
And it will, those areas are planning to be replicated down in the dark green. And we've also noted in the red area, hatched area here, there's an access, the planned access point for the replication area is going to be in this direction.
What's the replication ratio?
It's greater than 2 to 1.
Okay.
So we're also going through planning board right now. We met with them on Monday. We're planning on going back to see them on January 27th. And in hopes that we have some additional feedback from the commission and Recolai and Beta by then, to be able to do a comprehensive plan resubmittal. We also have Arthur Redding with the director for New England Appliance Group. He's on Zoom. So if you have any questions regarding process or functionality of the site, he's available to answer any questions you may have.
So did you, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So what information do you have as far as the wetland that is there that you want to fill in? What vegetation, what is there, what is, like, we need to have more information about
So
that.
we did a very extensive ORAD through this process. It took us over only a year. So let me go back to the existing, just to talk a little bit more about the wetlands. So during the ANRAD process, we delineated all the wetlands on site, which include boring vegetated wetlands, intermittent stream channels all in through here. There is a detention basin right in through here, and in the front here. During the ANRAD process, your bylaw takes jurisdiction over any area that has wetland vegetation and wetland soils. And because some of these detention basins have filled in with wetland vegetation, mostly consisting of cattail, some sedges, rushes, loosestrife. There's some more shrubby stuff in through here, maybe alders, some red maple. During the ORAD process, we worked with Beta to figure out which areas of the detention basin would meet the qualifications for your wetland bylaw. And we determined that there were 2 areas in this basin, right here and right here, and then this green area in here. Now, for the expansion of the building, both of these isolated wetlands that are bylaw regulated only will be impacted, and a small portion of this will also be impacted. The total,
Nicole, can I just ask, I'm sorry, just ask a quick question. So they're both drainage features that develop wetlands characteristics. Is the entire drainage feature develop wetlands characteristics, or a piece of it?
just pieces of it, and that's what we did
Right,
with
that's
Beta,
what I
is
thought.
that we
Okay, so I
found,
understand that.
and we all agreed upon that with the
Okay.
ORAD.
All right, thank you.
So there will be 7,842 square feet of isolated wetlands by law only that will be impacted. And we're gonna mitigate greater than 2 to 1 with 15,729 square feet. And we'll be doing it in this portion, this is all BBW, so it will be, turning isolated wetlands really into bordering vegetated wetlands, which is a better quality wetland. Has more functions and values than an isolated wetland. And we'll be turning that area into here, you can see the dark green areas. And like Amanda was saying, this will be the path to create that. And that is within buffer zone. And we do have some buffer zone work in which we did pay. There was a buffer zone impact fee, and it was pretty substantial. It was greater than $74,000. So that is part of this package.
So just logistics, just so I understand. So when the trucks come in the outside, around the perforated building, do they then turn around and have to go back out the same way? No, they come,
No,
they just
it's
go.
a one-way for
It's
those
a
tractor
one-way thing.
trailers,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
And that's the current operation now, it's just their current access is a little bit further south than Prime Park.
I see.
So right now they come around the building and then they go out the southern entrance, access egress.
I see, okay, okay.
That road, the new, when you got rid of the 2 roads and you have that one, that also will provide an access way to the other building, is that correct?
So Prime Park exists today.
Yeah,
That's
that-
not
that-
changing.
that one.
So Prime Park leads up to 124, 122, and I think that's it, right? As far as Grove Street, and those are still fully accessible. That road is not changing, with the exception of that dark gray area on the east side. That's just, it's allowing it to, Prime Park will now wrap around the building, which it doesn't do now. So it's
And the
gonna
piece
tie
of-
into an existing roadway.
And the piece that's going away is your guys' driveway.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's their current one-way around.
You got it,
Yep.
okay.
Did they buy all of Prime Park?
They bought 124 Grove Street, which includes Prime Park.
Because there's a lot of parking area, right, on the,
Jason?
On 124?
yes.
There is, but as far as planning board goes, you have to be so many feet away from your entrance to be considered
Counted towards your,
Right.
Part of the.
towards your parking count, so.
Yeah, you can't have it like in next time.
Nope.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah, doesn't work.
So, but this adds a lot more maneuverability for the trucks and for the employees at the site. And again, this company's been in business in town for 40-plus years. And it's jobs to a lot of local residents.
If I may, Nicole, what really prompted this was to be more efficient at this site, because right now with the current capacity, he can't get a full load of appliances in, so he has to pay for a truck, but can't have it fully unload because there isn't the space. So he has to have multiple trucks come in. This way, he can have one truck come in, full capacity, and so as a result of that, they'll increase their capacity, but decrease actually the truck traffic coming to the site, which will save them money and
you know, it's certainly more efficient and certainly better for Grove Street, which has become a very busy street to try to cut down, particularly the truck traffic. So that's really what's driving this.
So, I know you showed, and I follow you, you showed me where the trucks come in. Where on that map do they leave?
So right now, existing and proposed. Currently, they come in here,
Yeah,
and they go around the
Right.
building,
Mhm.
and then they come out here.
okay,
Yeah.
So now they're just coming in here and they're gonna connect up here.
yeah,
And come out the same.
okay, thank you.
And where is snow storage going to be? Where are you gonna store it?
Snow storage, they have, between the two parking areas, I have to look on the existing site, but we work on that, no, they won't be in any of the wetland areas. And I believe we do have signage up along here that's no snow storage, so you can't dump over the side.
And stormwater, how are we gonna handle the runoff?
Stormwater is being handled through planning board, and we have drainage areas.
They've done a full review on stormwater, and Peter has. And I actually have Mike Hassett on the line, I don't know if he's available, with Gary and Howland. He designed the drainage areas for the site, and we are gonna be handling the stormwater through
A fairly substantial below-ground system.
So I noticed down in the south there, there's, you know, the wetland connects, crosses the road, and then it continues on. Is there a stream in there?
It's I believe it's intermittent, or
Yeah.
no?
That's in there, right?
There's
Because
a,
it looks like it's connecting, like it breaks, you know,
Yeah.
of course, there's maybe a culvert
yeah, there's
there or something.
culverts. There's culverts. This has a lot of detention and retention areas, that are all connected with culverts throughout the site down here. But yeah, there is an intermittent stream in through here and a little bit.
And that's a continuation for sure, like, and there's a culvert.
Yeah.
underneath
Yes,
that.
there's culvert there and there.
Is there, with the proposed layout right now, would that change anything as far as the runoff
Nope,
going? And
nope,
then
all the.
need to change that out as well?
Again, we're trying to minimize the disturbance to the resource areas the best we can. And again, it's really trying to work with the sites, and, you know, as opposed to moving the expansion south, this was the best way to minimize those disturbances.
And this doesn't connect at all with the proposed construction across the street from this site? A different development altogether?
No, no, this is a standalone.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you mentioned that, you know, I think you brought up the traffic wise, you know, especially, I've gone through this street many times. There's definitely a lot of traffic and it's not really well kept up, but, you know, and you're bringing in larger, you know, fully capacity, you know, there's the trucks that are more, they have more capacity, and so minimum, you know, larger trucks, less traffic, so that's what you're getting.
Mike Hassett here on Zoom. I am available to discuss any stormwater questions you might have.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Oh, that's Mike Arthur.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Any questions about stormwater? No? No?
Yeah, I have a few supplemental and follow-up comments. So Nicole, regarding that ORAD, we were not yet on the commission, but they had gone through an entire ANRAD process. I actually walked the site with Nicole and Scott Goddard before they even filed and called out those wetlands at the top. So that was something that Beta and I had worked with them. I can definitely provide that ORAD in your packets if you need. I would like to note that the most recent interpretation of the Wetlands Protection Act, when it comes to stormwater basins and BVW, your bylaw does default to that and default to that interpretation. Nicole, I actually think we were at the most recent AMWS conference together.
Right.
So this is not necessarily unique to our bylaw. The only differentiation is that it's IVW versus BVW. I know the fees were a big deal. I know it made its way to town council and then to Jamie, and then I got called to Jamie's office. But I did have to mention one additional unfortunate news. Continuing on from the ANRAD process, there is a current violation on the site. If you recall, there was work within the 0 to 25-foot buffer zone. At that time, Chair Gallagher had said we would just address it at the notice of intent. So since we're here, fortunately, I'm going to tag that on to the bad news with the fees. And then we did get a DEP comment today. DEP came in late this time. I'm just going to read it into the record, whether or not it's accurate. We haven't looked at it, discussed it, but for your knowledge, their comment is, noting that the impacts are described as temporary in nature, the wetland replication plan submitted as part of the NOI indicates that approximately 185 square feet of BVW resource will need to be impacted in order to gain access to portions of the proposed wetland replication area. The applicant should provide a revised WPA Form 3, which accounts for this impact and replacement.
Which I can do, which I will
Perfect.
do.
So, would you be willing to explain what the work was that was done within the 25-foot? And then
Yeah, so they were, coincidentally,
Or Nicole, or
they were looking for a turnaround spot for one of their, it's either a mini excavator or a small skid steer. So they had pushed fill into the buffer zone so they could create a turnaround and a parking spot.
Was that in the south, and probably the south?
It's the south,
Yeah,
yep, it
okay.
was in the south portion.
How long ago
Yep,
was that?
how long ago was that? Oh gosh, a year and a half ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, when I had walked the site with Scott Goddard, we discovered it, and it was a good laugh, because it was news to him too, so that's never something that you want to see when the regulator's with you.
Nicole, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe we took the fill out of the wetland.
Was it? Okay.
And we put up an erosion
Yep.
control barrier.
Yep.
And then we said we would do, I think it was
Oh.
2 tree plantings.
Yep, and then we would watch the vegetation, that's right. No,
Yeah.
that's right, yeah. So
So-
next spring, we'll check in on
So
it.
we're,
And
So
it'll
it's
roll
been
into the
addressed.
replication, essentially.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
been
It's been
addressed.
addressed.
yeah, it's been.
Well,
okay.
sure, it needs to be rolled into the replication to make sure that it was actually successful, because at this point, it's considered a restoration.
But arguably, we have a.
But they've done the work, that's
pot-
correct.
Potential resolution for the, okay, that's. good.
Exactly.
Could you explain the fees?
Sure, so your bylaw, and town council had just voted on it, and all of the commission approved it too, includes buffer zone as a resource area. So any commercial or industrial development has to pay per square foot for buffer zone impacts in a
Oh,
resource
okay.
area. So we've seen it with both of Maple Gates, we
Yeah.
see it with the solar fields, we've seen it on
Yeah.
Spring Street. It is consistent and it's not new procedurally.
So that's what it was? And
Correct.
that's what amounted to, 74 grand?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a newly, it's a old bylaw that's newly recognized, or,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it, but.
Implemented.
The past few
implemented.
chairs,
Yeah,
I
I
went
remember.
through with Jamie and I went through with town council and everybody agrees that the procedure has not changed. And that town council reinstated it when they last voted in all the fees.
I remember this
So,
now. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I get it, I get it.
So I have one more question, to go back to the replicated wetlands. Why is there a stone wall going through, on this plan, it shows a stone wall going through the middle?
Yeah, I
Or
think that's
through
just
the
an,
edge, excuse me, the edge.
it's just an existing feature, I believe.
You're talking about up in here?
No, this one.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Yes, in that
Oh, yeah, that,
It's just an existing feature. There was a piece of land that was original, I think it was part of somebody else's property at one point, and then it transferred over, so it's all part of 1.6.
Thank you.
Looking at the plan, these IVW that we're talking about are listed as BVWs. Is that a typo in the plan?
Which ones?
All 3 of the basins are listed as BVW.
that's what I'm wondering why DEP made that comment.
well, the 185 square feet, I think, is the, I think, not 100% sure, but I'm thinking
It's access.
it's down here.
Okay.
The 185 is to come in, to cross over, to get access. So it's like they said, it is a temporary
Yep.
impact to access. They have to cross wetland to access the upland near the wetland, to excavate it down, to put the good soil in, to plant it. And then when they back out of the work area, they will redo that 185 square feet, so it's planted, and so it's a temporary impact, and that should be noted as a temporary impact, and I will fix that and submit that form.
Yeah, you're right, though, Michael, on the plans that are listed.
Yeah, those should be listed as isolated vegetated wetlands associated with jurisdictional to the local bylaw.
Yeah, Michael, this is John Nero, Beta Group. I'm just listening in. I'm here for a meeting, hearing later on, but I do have our last peer review letter from the ANRAD process up, and we did note that there were some areas labeled as bordering vegetated wetland, but they are intended to depict isolated wetlands. So the label is incorrect, but they were approved as isolated wetlands.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Any further questions? Any questions from the audience in chambers or online? No? Okay.
My name is Arthur Redding.
Yep.
I'm the president of NEAG, 126 Grove Street, and we own the property 124. I know there was some discussion on the fee that we paid. We were told about the fee, and I think we paid it within 3 days to get it over with and move on. So I don't want that to be a factor in this. I'd just like to get it done.
Okay.
Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 124, 126 Grove Street to January 9th at 7:09 PM.
Second that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I just, before you vote?
Yes.
I don't think we have comments back yet.
We just, New England Appliance just paid the peer review fee yesterday.
Okay.
Yep, so we don't have any, we haven't received any comments back yet from Beta. I don't know, Rico, if you're gonna have a separate list.
No, Beta and I talked together, so it's
Okay.
cohesive, so.
So if we're just waiting on Beta, you know, the fee's been paid, so we're just, you know, if they could get us comments, I know everybody's busy, so we just wanna keep things moving along so we can, we're planning, like I said, we're planning to go back to planning board January 27th.
Okay.
So any comments and feedback we could get beforehand would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
No?
Yep.
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue.
Continue?
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to the 10th public hearing. This is the NOI for 1 Paddock Lane. Go.
Hi folks, Chris Frateroli with Goddard Consulting here on behalf of the applicant Nabi Yunus. We are here to discuss the notice of intent submittal for 1 Paddock Lane here in Franklin. So what we have is a existing lot that has one existing house on it. We're proposing to subdivide the lot and construct a second house over on the southeast side of this parcel highlighted in red here. I can probably zoom in a little bit. That might be a little easier to see.
Oh, good, you found it.
Yes, I got it. We do have, and we will get to the actual site plan momentarily, but we do have a pretty substantial wetland system that essentially almost bisects the site here. The GIS mapping underrepresents it a bit. Here's the same site on the USGS. We do have kind of an open water body feature off to the back of the site that that wetland system is associated with. So I guess as a little bit of context here, this site was in front of you maybe not quite a year ago for an ANRAD. It was denied, not so much for, you know, being incorrect, more for a lack of information. I think there was a hearing attendance issue there. Anyway, we have already kind of gone through some of the motions of reviewing the wetland line. I did speak with Bricolai. I'm understanding that there might be a couple of flags on here that are not consistent with the review that had occurred with Beta during the ANRAD process. So we'll certainly be taking another look at that to make sure that's consistent. But as a bit of background, that's sort of how we've gotten here. So again, our site here, and I apologize, this is probably not formatted optimally. North going off to the top left a little bit. So the existing house is in the northern portion of the site, proposing the subdivided lot, and second house in the southern portion of the site. We are certainly tight on space to use here, so we've kind of kept the proposed work as tight as we can really get away with. That said, we are certainly proposing wetland impacts here. We are looking at about 202 square feet of wetland fill and about 545 square feet of wetland replication. We can touch a little bit more on the replication piece in a moment. That said, you know, the first iterations of the actual construction plan that came to me included a substantial amount of grading and closer to 2,000 rather than 200 square feet of wetland fill. We've opted for the more expensive retaining wall approach to minimize that grading that's required and kind of keep our footprint as minimal as we can get away with here. So again, recognizing that we are impacting this wetland here, but we are providing greater than 2-to-1 replication of that wetland over here in the, I suppose, southeast corner of the site. As far as the construction itself, we do have a retaining wall that essentially encircles the proposed home here. And again, that was done to minimize our footprint to the greatest extent that we could get away with.
So it runs from here all the way around to?
Correct, yep,
Up
all the
there
way
on the
to
corner?
that southern property line.
Right up there.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, so you can see my cursor here, that's gonna be the end of the retaining wall on that side.
That's a hell of a wall.
It certainly is, but you know, we're doing what we can to make a house happen here. There's a little bit of grading associated with that. You'll see some tails of some proposed contours just to make it all work in terms of grades. But yes, to be clear, a wall encircling most of the proposed house here. We do have, you know, our erosion control line shown around the perimeter here, just outside our limit of grading. Proposed house, small deck off the back, garage space, driveway, front walk, hookups to utilities in the street. So no septic or anything like that required here. We are providing crushed stone construction access to minimize any potential for tracking sediment off-site and, you know, get a housekeeping practice there. We are showing straw wattles as our erosion control. We've also included, you know, like an orange construction fence. We figured that might be appropriate due to our proximity to wetlands here. I understand the commission's general stance on silt fence, so if that's something that we'd rather not see here, we can certainly remove that, but figured that would make that.
Are you planning on removing it?
We can absolutely put something in as a condition or a note on this plan ensuring that it gets removed. But yeah, we included that just to make it abundantly clear where our limit of work is. So that can be a discussion that we have if the commission would like. Let's see if I can scroll down here. So as far as replication goes, again, we're impacting about 202 square feet of wetland. which is essentially the littlest amount that we could get away with. Those are shown in these little hatched red areas here, and the tiniest little area right at the tip of that wetland area right there. Total of about 202 square feet. We're gonna be replicating that over here in the southern portion of the site. That's about 545 square feet, so greater than that 2-to-1 ratio that we're looking for. We're gonna be planting that with nice native species. I think we've spec'd, let's see, Heather's blueberry, black elderberry, and red maple, along with a wetland seed mix to go in there. There is a entire replication protocol document that's been submitted to you that goes a little bit more into detail about grading, excavation, and those types of things. Our target finish elevation, I believe, is 191.8. We've provided a little bit of leeway in the construction document itself because we do find it, in our experience, it's really critical to make some minor adjustments in the field once you actually start excavating, because it's paramount importance to make sure you've got groundwater within about 12 inches of the surface, ideally a little less. So that replication protocols document allows a little bit of leeway for a supervising scientist to make that field call and ensure that you're going to have the hydrology you really need to construct a successful replication area. But in any case, that finished elevation is going to be about 191.8, I think is what it's spec'd at. So essentially that gets cut down. There's going to be obviously cut there. We'll excavate it down to 6 to 12 inches greater than our finish elevation, and then import some nutrient-rich soil that's going to be really conducive to germinating wetland seed mix and supporting those wetland plants that are going to be going in there. We've also shown our access route here. This is that little hashed orange area. It's about not quite 500 square feet. We've also included some plantings to go in there once we come out of that area. And lastly, I just kind of drew up a little graphic, and sometimes I find these a little bit easier to look at than the line work on a site plan. But in any event, this is just kind of a discussion piece. Might be a little easier to look at, might not. So that's the general overview of the project. I know that we are, I believe, planning on dropping off the check for peer review and legal ad tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That will be coming to you. Mm-hmm. So Beta's review will be forthcoming, I'm sure, and we'll go through that whole process with the Beta folks and come out the other side of this. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them as best I can.
Could you go back to the first, you had an image at the very beginning, right there.
This guy? The USGS?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's hard to see, and I did look at it earlier, but are those vernal pools?
No, so these are just open water bodies as the USGS maps them. I believe this rendition of the plans is from like 1987 or something. They're not terribly updated. They're just open water bodies.
Yep.
And then as far as the groundwater, you had said that you weren't sure of the height. What was?
So that's just something we like to provide latitude for a field judgment to be made when we're excavating replication areas, because you know, even with your best preliminary field work to determine those types of things, sometimes you do run into conditions on the field that are different than what you had anticipated. And if there's a hard and fast set excavation elevation, sometimes you can run into cases where you don't excavate deep enough to actually create a wetland there. So the gist of it is we want to excavate down until we find those redoxomorphic features in the soil which indicate the influence of water. And then you know you've at least got high groundwater at that elevation within a reasonable distance from your finished soil surface. So we're expecting that finished elevation to be about 191.8, but we like to leave some leeway for a field call to be made, because things always happen and turn out to be not quite what you would expect.
So do you have a plan B?
Well, the plan B is to just make that adjustment in the field. So really those redoxymorphic features in the soil are very telling. So that's what we look for when we're excavating these areas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's currently in the area where you're gonna replicate?
So really this entire portion of the site is a pretty naturally wooded site.
Okay. Okay. And so you've got 202 square feet of fill, but then you've got another, 9,000 and change within the 50-foot buffer there, right?
Correct, yeah, we do have a fairly substantial buffer zone impact, just kind of due to the site constraints here. We've submitted that variance request to go along with that, but I'm sure there'll be some discussion on what exactly should be done about those impacts here.
Okay, so your plan is to submit a variance?
Yeah, we already have.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can kind of see from the aerial here, generally a pretty wooded site.
Yeah.
This encroachment, I think there's a little bit of encroachment, but I don't think these are, GIS property boundaries. They're not perfectly precise.
Yeah.
So the existing lot, there's the existing house to the, north there.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to, so just looking at the map, the aerial here, there's a retaining wall there now, you show it here. Is that gonna be rebuilt, or that's?
Behind the existing house?
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, it's more of like a riprap slope than a retaining wall.
Okay.
We're not proposing any work on
There's
that,
nothing gonna be there.
northern property,
Okay.
at this point, yeah.
All right, I was just confused when the line weights kind of matched up with it.
We can take a look at that and
Yeah.
see if we can make that a little clearer.
It just kind of blends in all together. As far as you're replicating within that lot, but to the south of that,
Mhm.
I'm just looking at it from the, from the neighbor's side, that's something that's, we'll see what's going on, but,
Certainly, yeah. It's close on that side, for sure.
yeah. Well, thanks for explaining that.
Absolutely.
And I guess the utilities, I see sewer and water. I'm guessing Telco is gonna be run on the top,
I think
not
that's
buried.
the
There's a
plan,
utility
yeah.
pole there, so it's gonna be.
Yeah, they're not shown on here. I can see if we can add that.
Okay, no, it's just weird. It's not gonna be buried. Unless I mean, yeah, I think you noted it as far as like the, the straw wattles, change over that.
I gotta say, I'm very concerned. There's a lot of impact. The whole project is within the 100-foot buffer, and the whole house is within the 50-foot buffer, and there's a lot of disturbance in the 25-foot no-touch. I don't have a question,
Noted.
I'm
Yeah.
not inclined to go for this one.
We're aware of the impacts. We're trying to make the most out of a tight situation here, but thank you for your feedback. Noted.
Would have been nice if you had more of a replication area, I guess. I mean, since there's gonna be so much of an impact.
Well, we can see what we can do on that front. We've also kind of kicked back and forth ideas about doing something in the buffer zone, but you don't really have the invasive species pressure to do something about that. You don't really have a lawn to convert, so there's not a lot of great options for that sort of thing, but we can see if we might be able to expand that replication area and at least get a greater square footage on the BBW.
As far as stormwater goes, adding the impervious driveway there and everything else that goes with that, is there any impact or drainage issues in this site?
So we're not proposing any stormwater management at this point, being a single-family house. We can look at some of maybe the low-hanging fruit, see if we can do some pervious pavers or something like that, but No structural management proposed at this point.
But they will be fertilizing their somewhat of yards that they're going to have. So that's going to be running off into the wetlands. And you're already in the buffer zones, so I mean, all of that's gonna be running off into the wetlands.
Certainly, I think, do you typically have an ongoing condition regarding that?
No, so single-family homes are exempt from stormwater.
Right.
So you can ask, you can, we do attract more flies with honey, but, if you condition this house, you have to condition everybody else. And I bet if we drove up Palomino and Paddock and the other cross street there, we would find fertilized lawns.
Sure.
So, unfortunately, that is private property rights.
Anything further?
I would agree with Michael, I mean, it's gonna be a huge impact on that.
Noted. Yeah, we'll take another look and see if there's anything else we can offer you on that front.
That would be nice, thank you.
Anything? Anything else? No? No? Any comments in audience or online on the project?
Thanks for taking.
Yeah, I would like to speak. Can I speak, please?
Yes, yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, thank you, Brecca and Jeffrey and rest of the commission. This is regarding the property of the one paddock line, and I would like to add a couple of comments in here. The thing is, we are immediate neighbors of this property. We understand the environment importance of the wetlands and take very seriously our collective obligation to protect them. This particular parcel of land is well documented as the habitat for a wide variety of wildlife. Our resident wildlife enthusiasts will gladly share trail cam footage of the wildlife that is attracted to this special spot. The owner, Nabi Yunis, interests are perhaps differently from ours. Although he owns the property, he is a resident of Wayland, Massachusetts, and too far away to appreciate the environmental significance of this parcel. He bought this property with full knowledge of both the restrictions and benefits that come with owning wetlands. Mr. Yunis' last development attempt resulted in a prolonged and frustrating process. I don't believe he participated in any of the Conservation Commission meeting himself, and his representative had a poor attendance record as well. He also not responded to neighbor attempts to engage with him about the project. This further highlights his lack of respect for the process and the community. And thanks for your time. And I sent you guys as an email as well. So you have my email in that note. So you can reply me or you can question me anytime you want. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for your comments.
We need an address.
Oh, yes, address, please. We need address on.
Of mine?
Well, yeah, basically for the record. Who?
Yeah,
who's
it's a
seeking?
KP 42 Palomino Drive, Franklin, Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you very much, thank you.
Thanks for your input.
Anything further online or in chambers? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
John?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Renata.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Renata Gilarova, 38 Palomino Drive. I am probably the wildlife enthusiast that KP mentioned in his speech, so if anybody would like to see any wildlife in our wetlands, just Google me on YouTube and you will find plenty of videos of the beautiful wildlife we do have. And it is really a green corridor for the animals and critters and to use and not to get hit by the cars on our streets. And we really do appreciate and love the wetlands. And I think the proposed project seems to really, as noted by the consultant, to really, they are working with really tight space and trying to really put a huge house in a tiny space with a lot of impact on the wetlands. So I'm very much opposed to that. I had a question regarding the plan. As we all know, we've been through many meetings before, didn't come to agreement about the map, as was also noted. It does seem, though, that the new plan that they proposing and they put, the site plan seems to have the updated wetlands plan that was never agreed on, really. I don't know, it's just like if you compare it to the old map, the new map seems to have some of the flags in different spaces. That's just, so my question is, like, is that the new map? Is that the old map? If they can clarify, that would be wonderful. And then my other question, I guess, is regarding the replication area. So to replicate the wetlands, are we destroying more plantings to plant something new in there? Or I'm not quite sure how that works. Thank you.
Yeah, so to the first question, I had this discussion with Bricolage before the hearing started this evening. I was not personally involved in the ANRAD proceedings, but it's come to my attention there's some discrepancies in some of those flag locations, so we'll certainly be taking a second look at that, updating plans and buffer zones correspondingly. As far as the second question regarding replication, to execute the grading needed to create a wetland there, yeah, it does frequently come with the need to remove vegetation. We can see what we can do in terms of evaluating that a little more closely, seeing if there's maybe some major trees in that area we can work around and save and adjust the footprint a little bit to avoid some of those things. So we'll take a second look at that.
Chris, how do you
Okay,
anticipate, I'm sorry, go ahead, Renata.
No, I was just gonna say thank you, and I just want to say that the last note is that the neighbors that are next door, the house is cramped right next to their house, and it's just huge house, and I just don't think this is a good idea at all. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
So Chris, how do you anticipate accessing the replication area?
So let's see, sorry, it's in this guy. We did highlight an access route here. It may be a little tough to see on the screen, but it's hatched in orange right there.
Okay.
Obviously, this would have to happen before that wall goes in. So
Okay.
this would be one of the first things in the process here.
Okay.
And, you know, so that's what we've laid out for access, you know, avoiding the buffer zones to the extent that we can. And we've included a planting scheme for that area once we're pulled out of there.
And would you be taking down trees to get to that?
So that's probably on the same topic of trying to work around larger trees in the wetland replication area itself. That's something we could take a closer look at, see if there's a better layout to that access
okay.
route.
Got it, thank you.
How many square feet is the house you're proposing, or they're proposing?
You know, I don't have that number offhand, unfortunately. I can certainly get that for you.
It's 32 by 64 feet.
Yep.
64 by 32, 2 stories.
So is it gonna be bigger than the house? Or
Sorry?
equal, about as equal as the existing house?
As the existing house, well, we can compare them side by side on this guy.
You have the dimensions on the proposed, but I didn't see there's no existing. So.
Yeah, those are numbers I can get for you. I'm not sure they're numbers I have offhand. They are relatively comparable. I think this is modestly larger, but not dramatically.
Just a good comparison.
Yep, yeah, I can get those numbers for you.
Have you considered making the driveway pervious?
It hasn't been a topic of conversation up to this point, but it's certainly something we can look into, yeah.
And the town is trying to reduce its phosphorus load, and Charles River's right there. This makes, just.
Anyone else online? Any other questions?
Yes, this is John Detterman from 86 Palomino.
Go ahead, John.
Good evening. I would like to start by supporting KP's comments relative to the wetlands. As a community, I think we, generally speaking, demonstrate appreciation for the wetlands. And I don't see that in this proposal. Secondly, if I can maybe support Renata's point of destroying a natural environment to replicate a wetland. The natural environment took however many years to get there. Maybe it's not technically wetlands, but I think the proposal is to destroy something, to check a box, to dump some wetland type things in there to satisfy something. And thirdly, if I could ask that the documents, the notice of intent documents, properly reflect the property owner's address in the appropriate spots. They're not the same. So the property owner, the project property is correct, but his mailing address is noted as same. According to town records, that's not accurate. And I think that we're not talking about an accessory dwelling type thing for a disabled elderly relative. We're talking about a cash grab here.
Understood. Anything else, guys?
So Bricolite, can I ask it like, the no-touch, 25? I know what you said was if it's private property, it doesn't fall under all the...
Stormwater.
Yeah.
Stormwater, yeah.
Oh, okay. So for the impact of the 25-foot buffer zone, I mean, we can say you can't put anything there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what about 25 to 50?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing?
Read your regulations, but yes, so they're yours, they're not mine. But yes, there are certain parameters set within each of those buffer zones that allows certain people to do things by right or allow certain people to do things with variances.
Right.
It also, some creativity applied, which wasn't explicitly stated, but skirted around is buffer zone replication. Right? Because wetlands still need buffer zones. So there, I would caution side conversations.
Hey, guys. Good.
So, but yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
that is something that you can opine
I'll
on
read up on it.
and make an approval for.
Okay.
But it doesn't make
I mean,
much
that's
sense
part
to
of
destroy a
consideration.
bunch of
I mean,
wetlands
is it no touch or
to
is it
replicate a bunch of
sometimes no
wetlands.
touch? I mean, that.
I mean, the
you have
access
make that
to the
determination, right?
replication
So that
area is
part
going
of this.
to,
When this finally comes to us, then.
1 second.
Sorry, is there someone else? Any other comment?
no, I was just commenting on the fact that to reach the replication area,
Yes.
you're probably gonna have to nuke the road to get to it,
Mm.
which really doesn't make a lot of sense in certain respect.
Well, I think, my personal opinion is that I do think that, I mean, obviously, there are different functions and characteristics, upland versus wetland. We
That's
understand
true,
this, of course.
true.
But upland does have functions, characteristics. It's not devoid of everything, right? So if you're nuking upland to basically create wetland, the question is, I mean, really, does it even make any sense in the larger scheme of things?
Well, yeah, of course,
Okay.
you could replicate the road as you come back in.
True, that's true too. That's true. So I mean, all these are great points. All these are very, very good points, right? And they will bear a great deal of discussion when this project comes up in final form before us, clearly, obviously. This is why we're having the preamble now, right? To set the stage.
So Roger, an applicant shall demonstrate that no work, disturbance, including grading, is proposed within the 0 to 25-foot buffer zone resource area. So that tells you right there that is a hard no, right?
Well, that's our, unless the commission.
Waive it.
Right, has a very good
Right.
reason for giving a variance, yes, exactly.
Well, one of them is that in denying this, we would be denying him the use of his property,
Right.
which
Which is a
could get
factor.
rather sticky.
That's a legit factor.
It
It's a
would
factor.
amount to a taking.
Well,
Well, the whole lot.
We
in that
have
area.
wetlands here.
May I ask for clarification on that point, that denying it would be what again?
Well, if we deny it, then he can't use his property.
But he bought the
We're
property,
effectively
no,
taking his property away from him.
Yeah,
The use of his property away from him.
That gives him, that,
It's a tightrope we have to walk
yes, I mean,
on occasion.
so John, there is a situation where an applicant could be justified in suing the town for making a decision in which they were not allowed to use their property. Obviously, that would be for the courts to determine, but there would be a justification to make a suit. And typically.
if I could just, I won't belabor the point, but he bought the property knowing the wetlands were on the property.
Well, that would be the counter.
And-
Yeah, but John, that would be the counter. That would be the counter if it ever came to court, right? But I
Yep,
mean,
and-
that
and
wouldn't
that-
prevent him
that
from,
comes-
that wouldn't prevent him from filing, right?
That comes with privileges.
Sure.
That the wetlands, we're privileged to be stewards of them, but it comes with known restrictions as well. So.
Sure,
in-
that's true.
in-
All of that is
Yeah.
true. That is true.
Thank you.
So,
So can I have one more question
Certainly,
to
certainly.
that, what
Yes.
you spoke about, thank you. Right, so I understand what you just said about denying the rights to use the property. Is there a possibility to make them to modify the plans substantially to not to put such a big house there, not to have such a big impact, like, and make something smaller, that would be not upsetting all the buffers, maybe, maybe having a lot less impact on it, on the land.
Let me just ask, that there have been such negotiations done here in chambers in the past. So there is a precedent set, but that would be a negotiation between the commission and the applicant.
Okay.
So you can't
Because-
force
so
them, you
what-
can't
what
force
is
them, you can't force them to do that. What you can say is, well, if you modify the size of the project, there is a better probability that we would approve it, right? But you can't say, well, we will only approve if you do X, Y, or Z. That's not how it works.
Okay, so let's say you guys, potentially, let's say you approve the project, right? Is there any other body in the town that the project still goes to for any approvals? Because it seems like what they are proposing is within the zoning bylaws. So let's say the setbacks there are 40 feet, and they are proposing 40.4 feet to get around zoning, I'm assuming. But, so are you the last stop?
No, but, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, Renata, you are we have ESP today. Because the only comment that I had was, I believe you have to go to planning board, and I checked with
Yep.
the town planner.
Yeah.
So to keep it procedurally and historically accurate with recommendations for previous projects, if you could please file concurrently with planning board
Right.
in case their suggestions impact this.
Noted.
Thanks. Thank you,
Right.
Renata.
Yeah, so typically, Renata, you'll see that planning and conservation, although completely independent boards, do work hand in hand as far as the applicant is concerned. And you will see sometimes that the applicant is basically ping-ponging back and forth between conservation and planning.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, guys? Anyone else online?
Yes, my name is Sherry Goodell, and we're at 153 Beach. So we are directly aside this proposal.
Okay.
And I wanted to say, like, the reason that we bought this house, and it's nobody's problem, but the reason we bought this house was because of how peaceful and beautiful and the ability to have the wildlife. As you can see from these property lines on some of these maps, we have a really bizarre property. And I don't know how that originally got delineated, but it's being able to be here has really given us just a peace. And the impacts of that, aside from taking out trees, and recently we had a tree that came down on our house, and I still love them, I still want them around, but I also have concerns about the breaking up of what trees would be removed and how that would impact the strength of the remaining trees. And I just wanted to say that we have been here, we've been coming. It's very difficult for me to speak on it because it makes me really emotional, as you can tell. But I appreciate the concerns, and I appreciate the views of what this impact is. And I wouldn't ever want to see it different, not that that matters, but I would hope that the concerns kind of get maintained. The concerns about the wildlife, the concerns about the viability of what's out there, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful surroundings. And the community coming out together are not doing it for trying to make anything difficult for anybody. It's just being able to preserve what little greenery and wetlands that we have kind of left around us. So I'm sorry, it might have been a little rambly, and I don't really have a question right now. I know that I'll have more later after we're done, but I just wanted to say that and let people know that we have been coming. Our wonderful community has been speaking more than I have been able to. So I thank you for your time, and I appreciate this.
So I'd like just to make
Nikolai, could I ask you a question that's just rolling around in my head here? So we had the comment about the taking, and I'm just interested in your opinion on that. I mean, to a certain degree, I guess that argument made against anything. And if that's the case, why bother have a conservation commission, right? I mean, we're here to prevent the
I'm going to pose a question back to you. We're going to have a teaching moment, sorry.
Yeah,
this is not a personal opinion. This is just other variables that need to be vetted before you make an informed decision. Will this be allowed under the Wetlands Protection Act?
Okay, good point. Good point. Okay. Yeah.
Which is yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of a salient point there. Got it.
It still has to be permitted.
Yeah.
Especially with the BVW impacts. I mean, they're not going to, but it would go down to a 1-to-1 replication.
Yeah.
Not a 2-to-1. Their buffer zones, they're lessened. It's a single-family house.
It's a residential project, right? Yep.
So, again, not personal opinions, that's just my job is to look at all the variables.
That's what I was asking,
And when it comes to being considered a taking.
Those are factors. Okay.
But still ask the questions. Still, you nailed it, right away about can it be reduced? Can we minimize? Can we mitigate? What
How
can
we
happen?
optimize it? Yep.
Exactly. How can you optimize?
Okay.
And I just wanted to, just the last speaker, I wanted to say something as an adjunct to those comments. So yes, please understand that obviously the commission is here because our mission is to at least try to our best ability to ensure that the regulations are upheld. And we also give guidance to applicants on upholding those such regulations, be them local, be them DEP, et cetera. But we do work, we are very conscious that we do work for the citizenry. We are here because of the citizens, and we do work for the town.
Yes.
So please understand that it is very, very important for everyone to come forward and voice their opinions. regardless of whether they are regulatory-based, personal-based, et cetera, those are influential because they give us context. So many times, you know, we are not out there, we're not walking the site. I mean, our agent may be, but we're typically not. And we haven't lived in a site, on a site for years, maybe sometimes decades. So those pieces of context are actually very, very important and do have some bearing on the way we feel about a project, ethically and morally, in addition to regulatory-wise. And that does influence people's thinkings and opinions. So please, I encourage all citizens, if they have an issue or an opinion, to come and voice it in front of the commission at any time. We are open to that. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Could I make a comment?
Yes.
Clement Salick at 150 Beach Street. I'm directly across from the proposed site. I see there's utilities being shown that emanate obviously from the house and access what I believe to be a sewer line right off the edge of the property along that kind of southern end where the sewer line is shown to come in. What consideration has been made with regards to that connection to that sewer line? And what knowledge does the designer have with regards to making that connection?
That's something that was designed by the engineers who prepared this plan, so that's something I'd have to check with them on. It's not something I have personal knowledge of.
That's fine, that's fine. I bring it up because that sewer line, again, it's quite a ways off the edge of pavement. And obviously because it's on, Beach Street's a 50-foot wide public right-of-way. It's not shown on the plans. I noticed you show the Palomino Drive as being 40-foot right-of-way. Well, Beach Street is not shown as a 50-foot public right-of-way, but that is a gravity-fed sewer main, and it's about 7 feet down. Now, I bring that up because, as you know, as a designer, we dig deeper than, I think OSHA's limit for open trenching is 5 feet, meaning, so to install that sewer line, you're coming out of the invert, coming out of that house, and obviously it's gonna come out probably, 18 inches below finished grade where it exits the foundation. But as it works its way towards the main trunk, the sewer line, at the edge of Beach Street, that sewer line is about 7 feet deep, like I said before. And if you don't put a trench box in, as per OSHA regulations, anything beyond 5 feet, unless it can support a vertical cut, and unless it's clay or solid rock, which we know that's not the case, you've got to install either trench boxes or, for temporary excavation, I think OSHA allows a 2-to-1 slope, which means for every foot down you go, you got to go 2 feet out. So you can imagine the size of the excavation that's going to be required right near that pole number 31. And I know that connection is subject to sort of interpretation. It could probably be, 10 feet to either side of that pole or whatever, but there's going to be some significant excavation that needs to take place to access and install that drop inlet to that sewer main. And I don't know if anybody had considered that and knows anything about it, because the other thing too is along that line, okay, that along Beach Street, right next to and or on top of that sewer main is a cathodic, it's an electric cathodic protection that was installed by, I think, the gas company along there. And you'll see there's a meter probably close to where he's shown his division line between lot 1 and lot 2. And that cathodic protection runs from that meter and heads towards the construction access and towards that connection to that sewer line. And I know that because when that was installed, that cathodic protection, the contractor that installed that, in doing so, smashed my sewer line feeding into the main sewer trunk. And my efforts to get compensated for that went absolutely nowhere, and I had to pay for it out of pocket. So, you know, this, like I said, just to reiterate, that sewer line is really deep. And anytime you go deep, you gotta make provisions, and obviously, you know, you can see the majority of that sewer line, you know, is within, well, it's outside the 50-footer, but in any case, it's something for the board to consider, because it's, I don't consider this to be a typical, you know, sewer connection in that dealing with the depths, because this is a gravity-fed line. Yeah, I don't, you know, it's not a forced sewer main, I think it's a gravity-fed line, and therefore that's why it's as deep as it is.
Well,
So it's some, go ahead.
for one thing, the utilities are probably just a little bit outside our purview, but to answer your question, you could go out on your gravity line out there and put a drop manhole right over the top of it, and that's what it's built for, is to bring in your line at a shallow distance, and then it drops into the sewer.
Right.
So you could do that. Truly, you would have to put supportive excavation around it, but that would be a issue with the design and design. The engineer would have to decide how to do that, and then you'd have to get your permits and everything.
Right, I'm just saying that some of that would end up encroaching upon, you know, the wetland areas. It's not, in other words, not all the construction would be within the 50-foot public right-of-way of Beach Street.
We're in the public right-of-way when you're going into the roadway now then too.
Okay, yeah, right.
And you just put a drop manhole on it. Truly, it'd be a big manhole, but it's very doable. Expensive, but very doable.
Might I suggest, Chris, you talk to your favorite people over at Water and Sewer?
Yeah,
And then
I'd be
I
glad to.
will follow back up on the other side to make sure everything's
Yeah, you probably ought to drag
on a
the
level.
designer in on it.
Yeah, we've certainly received a lot of very valuable feedback tonight that we'll be taking under advisement for sure.
Okay. All right.
You know what, I'll just throw out the last comment. I know we're looking to move it along, but, all right, I'll leave it at that. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, there being no further comment, I will take a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 1 Paddock Lane to January 9th at 7:10 PM.
Second that.
All right.
Vote to continue.
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 We are continuing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks,
Chris.
folks.
Thanks, Chris.
You staying?
I'm not going anywhere. I might get a drink of water real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay, so, we lost the
Would you
recap.
mind if I get a sip of
No,
water?
no,
real quick?
go.
I'll be back in 30 seconds.
We're taking a 2-minute breather.
Perfect.
That's a sticky one.
So it's really about single-family homes being, you know,
And there's special. One part of you says, geez, what are you doing? You're building out in the middle of a, the other part says, well, yeah, somebody's house. Did I see on here that we're almost ready to get rid of the, every month we accelerate, what is it?
After we extend it at least one more time.
Oh, the Union Street enforcement order gets going one more time?
One more time. Yeah, there's no reason to come in
On
anymore.
my gravestone.
Yeah.
All right.
Formerly
I
known
made a
as
smart ass
Richard's
remark
project.
about it one time, and I've
Richard's
been living
project.
with it ever since.
It's not everybody that has a project named after them.
I'm still looking for mine.
Hey, Jeff.
Well, thanks for waiting, guys.
Thank you.
There's one quick thing that would probably go through for the library that this person's been waiting for all night.
We actually have 2 items.
All right,
You good? Okay.
okay, all right. Okay, let's continue. So this is for the 11th and final hearing for the evening. This is the ANRAD for 444 East Central Street. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, for the record, one more time, I'm Chris Frateroli, I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting. I'm joined by AJ Alavezos, Tag Central LLC, the applicant. So I think we all know this site at least a little bit by this point. This is 444 East Central Street, just a few doors down that way. This is Stobart's Nursery.
Oh, this is Stobart.
This is Stobart's indeed. I forget what that meeting was called, but when the initial lip review, the commission issued a general letter of support and requested we go through the ANRAD process, which we were more than happy to do, so that's exactly what we're here tonight to kick off. What we have is about a 15-acre site, more or less, frontage on East Central Street, existing nursery property, and then it sort of opens up as you go back. Some old historic nursery grow operations that have left some abandoned landscape trees to grow to maturity, a variety of dump piles, waste throughout, you know the story, I think. As far as wetland resource areas go, most notably, we have a perennial stream that essentially divides the site in two. That western half and the eastern half. I think as we had noted at the last hearing, these maps are from the mid-'80s. This stream is sort of culverted in a couple places, which you'll see on our delineation plans in a moment.
Wow.
Sorry, large file moves a little slowly. We've got essentially two versions of our delineation plans here. They're a little busy, so we've got a slightly more readable graphic coming in a minute, but I do think it's valuable to look at these at least briefly. We have that perennial stream coming down. It's a section exposed to daylight up here. Well, I guess first across East Central Street from the site. It flows under East Central Street, 1, 2 sections of the stream, and then it really opens up into its full glory.
I see.
We've delineated the mean annual high water line of this stream. That flag series starts down here, goes up, loops around, comes back down, as well as 1, 2, and 3 other sections of mean annual high water for that stream. And so that's the point that the riverfront area line is drawn off of.
Okay.
We also have a fairly substantial bordering vegetated wetland system. It's kind of this white area stippled with darker coloration that's mostly present along this stream. And as you go further south, it opens up into a pretty substantial wetland system just off-site to the south. We've also delineated 2, or I suppose 3 isolated vegetated wetlands on the site. So you can see one here in the southeastern portion, one here in the southwestern portion, and then one here in the northwestern portion. This is going to be that same conversation. This was initially a stormwater basin that has developed wetland characteristics over time, so we did flag that out as an isolated wetland here.
Is it just,
That is off the site, sorry.
wait, should just the one up north was a stormwater basin?
Yes.
Or all 3? Just the one?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay.
just this one up in the north,
Got it.
as far as we're aware. I don't
Okay.
believe these other 2 were ever stormwater features.
Got it.
Manipulated over time, maybe, but I don't believe they were stormwater features.
Got it. Okay.
Moving down, this plan set is showing the same thing, a little bit less lit up like it's Christmas. The other thing that's a little easier to see on this version of the plan is this kind of neon green line is the extent of the floodplain here. We've also shown, and this may be a separate discussion to have either with you or with Beta Bricolai. We've also shown what we are considering our degraded riverfront area. I know it's not a resource area that can be technically confirmed under an ANRAD, but that's shown on these plans, at least for the sake of completeness.
Okay.
And then just to move down, if you haven't learned yet, I like to make these little graphics that make things a little easier to discuss. This is just an overlay drawn from those survey plans prepared by Allen and Major, showing all the things we just talked about over aerial. So pink going down the center is the perennial stream. Obviously, the white with the blue wetland symbols is the BBW, and then the blue with the white wetland symbols are the IBWs, and then that yellow line is going to be the floodplain there. So that's essentially what we have for you. I believe AJ has a check to give to you for Beta, and I imagine much of this review will happen in the field with Beta, but we wanted to come here and give you the rundown for tonight.
Appreciate that.
Is that really considered a river based on the
Yes.
Yes.
riverfront buffer area?
Yeah.
It's a perennial river.
Definitely, so the darker blue lines are typically considered perennial streams. You might be able to make an argument that an open water feature like that isn't a stream, but you look at it in the field and it certainly looks like a river. We did not even really discuss making that argument.
This would be held up for years
Yeah,
at that point.
yeah. You look at it in the field, it's a river.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially like now, today especially.
Yes.
Especially today.
You know, I think some of those upper portions closer to the street might be on the drier side right now, but, you know, being in a level 3 drought, I'm not sure that that's truly representative.
Right. Okay.
Is that called Uncas?
Uncas, yeah.
Yeah.
Uncas.
So, yeah, the stream offsite to the south that runs, I believe it runs west to east, is Uncas Brook. The section of stream on this site, I don't believe is technically a portion of Uncas Brook, but immediately offsite it does feed into it.
Does it relate to Uncas Pond, which is the?
I'm not positive on that, but I would not be surprised.
But is, Uncas, I thought, was a feeder for the Charles, yes, correct? Am I right? No? Not, is it like mine? I thought it was.
I'm just going by names.
Yeah.
I thought it was
No
like
paper.
mine.
Let me
No?
zoom out,
I'm not
because I know it
positive.
goes to
Yeah.
the golf course and then beyond.
Which
So
is
it goes
Uncas
into
Pond.
I think it goes to Lake Pearl,
Oh, Lake Pearl, oh.
but,
Okay.
I'm just tracing the route too.
I mean, everything's a feeder to the Charles.
Yeah, I
really,
know,
if you
okay.
think about it.
All right, but not as direct as mine.
Yeah, so Uncas Pond is, right, so to the south of the golf course. Yep.
Okay.
And then Uncas Brook wraps around to the north, and then this portion cuts on the north part
Oh,
of the
okay.
golf
Yep, yep,
course.
yep, okay.
And then, yes, it does feed into Lake Pearl.
So it's, so water is flowing from east to west then on this?
West to east,
What?
west to east.
Oh, west to east on this, okay. So it's going this way, okay. So- Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Any questions, guys?
They already went, didn't they do an ANRAD before? when they
This
showed
is the
where they were
ANRAD.
gonna-
This is the
Huh?
ANRAD.
This is the
This
ANRAD.
is- Yeah.
So we're not
This is the
talking
ANRAD.
about the development.
Right, this is.
Right.
What,
This is
that
just
was the
the
lit
delineation.
Yeah,
process.
just the
This is
ANRAD.
just the delineation.
Just-
Yeah.
I have 2 comments, yes, about degraded riverfront area. So that's not something we would, nail down in this ANRAD. And then the only one other thing, is bylaw states 100-foot buffer zone to BLSF.
Right.
So that will just need to be reflected, please.
What's the lesson required?
Local bylaw, calls for a 100-foot buffer zone to, floodplain.
Oh, yeah.
BLSF,
Yeah.
yep, boarding land subject to flooding.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I just didn't hear, that's all.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't
BLS,
think-
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't think that's gonna change anything too dramatically here, but we'll make
Yeah,
sure
you
it's
just have to have
thorough, yeah.
Was there any kind of restoration plan on this?
Not this portion.
This-
What was the
Just
ANRAD?
delineation.
Just the
Delineation.
ANRAD,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep,
delineation.
just delineation.
We need to figure out what resources we have before we.
First,
They'll
yeah,
come back
first,
with
yeah.
what they can build.
Right,
I think you mentioned it was on a floodplain, is that?
Yes.
oh, yeah.
So,
The green
On the-
is the floodplain.
yeah, so on the actual, survey plan sheet, that green dash line is the floodplain. I believe it's elevation 271, if memory serves.
Yep.
And that's this yellow line on this graphic here as well.
So we just have to wait for the fee to be paid before we.
Yep, and then Beta and I on this one will be going out together. Traditionally, we go and review delineations alone, so we don't feed off of each other. But just given the nature of the site, we're gonna go out together.
Good.
Hopefully, before we get any, if we do,
Snow.
substantial snowpack.
Yeah. Thank you for the update, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
And then, just for the record, AJ is going to give me something, but it is a check for the scope and fee for Beta. Hey, you know,
There's
I've heard
actually-
about Old
there's actually
Franklin,
two
so,
in here.
okay, thank you.
One's for the ad and one's for.
Oh, perfect, okay, thank you.
Sure.
I will hold it up to the
That looks like a
camera.
really big
You
check.
can see it.
Yeah.
Don't make jokes.
You're gonna bring in one like on the Price is Right. thing like this.
Were there some,
Big
were
one.
there some key cards in that, car keys in that? Now that's Old Franklin.
Yeah,
That's cool.
all right.
That they used to say, right? They said that the weekend after every big bank robbery, the chief of police would be driving around in a new Lincoln. Apparently, people lived during the 40s. It's true.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, apparently. Anyway, okay. I digress. So, okay, any further questions now?
No.
Okay, so I think we continue this to,
I'll give you a motion to continue the ANRAD on 444 East Central Street to January 9th at 7:11.
I'll second it, and I'll vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
continue?
Continue?
Continue.
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 And
Thank you
thanks,
very much,
guys.
Thanks,
guys.
folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you'll reach out for site walk type things, you guys will do your thing and then pull us in?
Mm-hmm,
Beautiful.
exactly, thank you.
When are you thinking the next hearing will be scheduled?
January 9th,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, see you guys
See you
later.
guys.
Okay, so the next thing on the list is minor buffer zone activities. We're done with the hearings. And this is for 20 Barron Road. And this is a hazardous pine tree?
Yeah, I don't think they're in attendance, which is fine. They do have a letter from
Okay.
the arborist. So it was struck by lightning, now it's infested
Okay.
by insects. It is within a wooded area, so it's technically undisturbed. It's not within disturbed lawn.
Okay.
They didn't clarify how the tree company will mobilize. They very rarely plop a crane in a yard anyways. They usually go from the street or.
Well, you gotta have
Yes.
something to hold the
Yes,
thing up
yes.
and not ruin the
So,
garden like it did mine.
I anticipate going from the street or the driveway. I can definitely follow up. You can condition it as
Yeah.
well. But then they also mentioned needing to climb the tree. So mentioning needing to climb the tree and or use a crane. I imagine they're just gonna climb and drop.
Okay,
Climb and drop it, okay, and
Yeah.
then haul it out.
all
Yeah.
right.
And they already, they're gonna leave the stump in place anyways, so
Okay,
I would recommend approval.
okay.
So approval with the condition that any crane goes in via the road or driveway.
Mhm.
That's where-
And that's just the only extra condition on top of standard. Okay,
All right, give you a motion to approve the MBZA for 20 Barron Road with the condition that any crane access the tree via the driveway or the road.
I second it.
okay.
I vote to approve.
Approve?
Approve.
Approved.
Approve.
Approved.
Approved. Thank you very much.
Can I suggest that maybe we move the library next?
We both have combined, presentations, so we're fine the way that we are.
Okay,
Thank you, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm locked in with you guys.
We're,
okay.
okay, thank you, though.
All right.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay. So the next thing on the list I have is the certificate of compliance for 185 Grove Street.
Yep, so again, they're not here, which is surprising, but, it is a historic order of conditions. The attorney reached out, there are no violations. Ultimately, I'd recommend approval.
Administrative now.
Mhm.
Okay. Guys?
I'll give you a motion to approve the COC for 185 Grove Street.
Second.
Okay.
Vote to approve.
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 Approved.
Approved.
Approve.
Okay, approved, thank you very much. Okay, and now, let's go to violations and enforcement. We have 3. First one is 305 Union Street.
Where did that come from?
So what's up with 305
I
Union?
did receive a response from the new property owner. He's working to submit a new non-traditional work plan, so he's compliant.
Okay.
But we should still keep the enforcement order open.
Okay,
So recommend,
Progress.
until we get the plan.
yes.
Okay.
Well,
So we
DEP
got
will
a
get the
motion?
plan.
Yeah, we need a motion.
I'll give you a
do it,
motion.
Richard. It's your
To ex-
project.
To extend the enforcement order for 305 Union Street for another 30 days.
Second.
Vote to extend.
Extend.
Vote to extend.
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 Okay, extended, thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Now we go next to
this
Spruce
is-
Pond Solitude Lake Management. What is up with Solitude Lake Management?
Yeah.
So they are online. I did receive the deliverable, which satisfied the requirements for special condition 55. However, I do have something to bring up more as a professional courtesy to the commission and to myself. So I have, since February of this year, been asking for this special condition, or the BMP plan, to be submitted to my office to make sure that the applicant was in compliance with this, with all of the conditions. Solitude Lake Management has a system set up that when there is treatment proposed at one of their locations and you are on the recipient list, you get a notification, an email push notification saying that treatment is set to occur at this date. It's usually 2 weeks out from when the email comes in. So I received an email notification earlier this summer noting that, okay, Spruce Pond was going to be treated. I reached out to the contacts that I had on file to say, hey, treatment can't really occur until I have this BMP plan. That's part of the conditions. It is explicitly spelled out in the conditions. And I was told, I have it in email, no treatment will occur. Okay. We still need that special condition, the BMP plan, which was supposed to be submitted in March, but no treatment's occurring. Okay. Get another notification in summer, reach back out. Hi, I need that the BMP plan. No treatment is set to occur. No treatment should occur. And I got another response, no treatment is set to occur. And then the third time, I didn't get a response, and then I escalated it right to their executive level. That's when I started getting responses. So now we have this enforcement order. I received the BMP plan, and in there it states that treatment occurred. So, one, it's unfortunate that I was doing my due diligence to reach out to ensure that the commission received what they wanted, but also to keep the applicant and the property owner in compliance, not only with the commission, but with DEP. I was told that treatment wouldn't occur. Treatment did occur. Now we have an enforcement order and the special condition satisfied. We can't go back and not have the treatment occur. It already happened. And I feel that it is poor performance and it is blatant lying. So I defer to the commission on how you would like to take it forward, but I did feel very strongly to put that on record. You know, I am never in the position where everybody is going to be satisfied, ever. But I do try my hardest to make sure that everybody is safe legally and in compliance and doing the best that they can. Nobody ever likes their mom telling them what to do, but generally mom will keep you safe and out of harm's way. I am mom in this situation. And I don't like that I wasn't heated.
Okay.
So-
Wait,
Go ahead.
before we start asking questions, you said SLM was online. Is that someone from SLM online?
Yeah, this is Rob Meyer. I'm the district manager for the Northeast region.
Okay, Rob, we want to hear your side of the story here, please. We have brief.
So, so I guess initially I'd just like to apologize to Bricolai and the commission for not doing our job. I'm not here to give an excuse or a reason. Certainly there was a failure in more than one aspect of this. This isn't a matter of there was one situation like Bricolai described and one person made a mistake and whatever. This was occurred multiple times. I came in towards the end, and that's not giving me any excuse or out, because normally in a situation where there's some type of failure going on, I'll be notified by somebody that there's an issue that I can get involved. Even though Spruce Pond is not one of our larger clients, you know, we have an excess of 1,000 clients, and this is not a normal, is not normally the way we operate. So I'm not here to give excuses. We failed in this case with this pond multiple times. I know I was in, I think we even failed, to be honest, back in 2023. There was some communication issues with a guy named Sean McCarthy. I think Brika was involved. I don't know if she remembers him or not.
Yep.
He had missed a meeting or two. And then I guess I was off those email chains after that. So one thing I would ask is if Bricolai could re-add me to any communication involving any pond in the or lake in the town of Franklin, so I could be personally involved moving forward. I mean, I can't really correct the past. I can only accept whatever enforcement comes out. But I know there's a concern about you know, how do we say we're going to be better when we haven't proven that over multiple times? So I'm basically the top guy in the region. I think Keith Gazelle's on. He's one of the top project managers, certainly in out of the Mass office. But assuming we move forward, I certainly would be in attendance to any monthly meeting personally, along with the project manager that's assigned to Spruce Pond or whatever, any pond or lake assigned or out of Franklin. If attending a monthly meeting is overkill, certainly would be open to a monthly call or contact with Bricolai to follow up that we're doing everything we say we're supposed to do. I know with the BMP, as of right now, we do not have confirmation from the client that they're accepting our recommendations, so we certainly are not going to do anything with them in 2025 unless they agree to that plan. And if they agree to some of it and maybe don't agree to other parts of it, we would forward that to Bricolai for her determination whether that whatever is agreed to is satisfactory to meet these conditions. And I mean, I guess that's basically it, other than me saying I will be involved with anything with the town of Franklin until we have your confidence that we've got our act together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Brika, just a question. So is Spruce Pond the only thing that that the town is doing with Solitude, or does that also include other?
The only other project that I know is the Delcart treatment.
Oh, the Delcart, yes, of course, right. And how is the Delcart situation been so far?
I'm presenting on the year-end report today.
Okay, all right.
So that's fine.
Okay, we'll hear from that, okay. Well, it sounds to me like there's really nothing to do here because until the applicant or the Spruce Pond client makes a decision what they want to do, right? I mean, obviously we have nothing to do until they make a decision whether they're going to go forward or not. Correct? Yes.
That's what it sounds like,
So
which
kind
is
of
an
in
update to me.
Yeah, we're kind of in abeyance, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything for us to do in terms of the violation or any enforcement orders? No?
You can, drop the current enforcement order since the special condition was met.
It has been satisfied.
Mhm.
I mean, that makes sense,
Hmm.
right? So that's a recommendation I would make, if that's okay with the rest of the
Yep.
crew. Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we drop the enforcement order for Spruce Pond Solitude Lake Management.
Second that?
Okay.
I vote to drop it?
Drop it. Okay.
Drop it.
Vote to drop the enforcement order.
Vote to drop it.
Vote to drop.
Vote to drop.
Vote to drop.
Okay, and enforcement order is terminated. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming
Yeah,
forward and
thanks for
talking
coming
to
in,
us.
Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Rob.
explaining.
Yeah, thank you.
That helped.
And Breaker, anything, I'll follow up with you. Do you want me to stay on for that Delcart Pond review, or?
No, it's fine. I got the report from Tanner Pool. I'll just put it up on the screen and I just show the map and the changes. That's it.
All right. And
Thank you.
Tanner would be the person who would
Yep.
oversee specifically Spruce Pond in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go on to the next on the violation enforcement list, which is for 00 Prospect Street.
Yep, so I'm deferring that decision to continue it or not continue it to the commission, but I do have 2 hearings set for January 14th at Rentham District Court
Okay,
for only the first 2 weeks of tickets,
okay.
so.
I don't see any reason to drop it at this point, especially since nothing's really changed. Yes?
Yep, I mean, you can wait until you hear a determination
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the
I
court
think
the first
doesn't
2
it-
weeks.
We
and
should
then-
just wait for the course to, I mean, it's in the hands of the courts now. I mean, unless anyone has any.
Have any tickets been paid?
No.
Of course. Right. Of course not.
To be fair, though, I mean, if you're looking to sue someone or take them to court,
Yeah,
you
you wouldn't do
probably
that.
wouldn't pay.
You wouldn't do that, because that would
Yeah,
cut
exactly.
into your case, yes, exactly,
Yeah.
true. Okay, so basically, there's nothing to be done, right?
No.
We're
But
just-
You would have to extend it.
Oh, extend it, okay,
Yeah,
so
if that's
Maybe
what
a
you wanted to do.
Motion to extend the
another 30 days,
enforcement,
or,
yeah,
okay,
enforcement order for,
It's always 30
Zero
days.
Prospect for 30 days.
good.
Second,
Okay,
vote to extend.
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 extend,
Extend.
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 the enforcement order is extended, thank you. Then we'll go to minutes. I am abstaining because I was not at the meeting, but I did attend the meeting. Peter did attend the meeting, and I did read through the minutes, and I didn't see any changes, but go ahead.
Well, I didn't attend the meeting either.
Okay. He didn't attend the meeting, so,
I did attend, I approve the meeting.
Yeah.
you
I don't have it.
recommend?
Motion.
I could motion to approve the meeting
okay.
minutes.
Second,
Okay, and
approve.
Approve?
Abstain.
abstain?
Approve?
Approve.
Approved.
Okay, approved.
There you go.
There you go, thank you. All right. Now we go into the discussions, yay. So we're gonna talk about citizen science kit purchases.
Yeah, so I am requesting, along with utmost support from the library, $749 to build citizen science kits, 6 different types to unveil during Earth Month in Franklin. So I have included a very rough spreadsheet. It won't come across, I didn't add grid lines, but spreadsheet to your Google Drives noting cost per items. I didn't list the items out. They do correlate though sequentially
cool.
with
Okay,
the items shown on each kit building guide. There are a few things that I either found we could buy in bulk, so you may notice some discrepancies there, or some items that I thought we could do a little bit better on. I will note, because this is out of the wetlands fund, I would build it, but a card or a letter in there noting, how these things can benefit wetlands too, because you do have to tie in wetlands. But other than that, if the commission approves that expenditure, I'll start building these kits this winter.
Now, how would these be distributed? I mean, would it be available? Yes.
Hello, they would circulate at the library through our Library of Things. So we can actually, we already have a collection at the library right across from the circulation desk, our Library of Things. So we've got, oh my gosh, we've got a telescope, we've got Instapots, instruments, all kinds of crazy stuff. A vacuum, yeah, rug cleaners, like, quirky stuff. The whole concept of a Library of Things is to kind of provide our patrons with items that like would be costly to buy if you're only going to use them a handful of times, or if you want to test it out before you use it. So it's just, this does feel like a really fun, natural fit. We also have board games, and puzzles, so all kinds of stuff that families can take home and enjoy, and explore. And then we also, in the Youth Services Department, with funding from the Cultural Council back in 2018, created a series of what we call Explorer Packs. So those are, like each bag is a different theme, where we've got like books and activities sort of tied around a particular theme. So we've got like, we have like a geography one, we've got a road trip survival kit, we have a babysitter survival kit. We've got one if you're adding a new addition to your family and you want to explain the baby that's coming, we have a whole bunch of books about that and like suggested lullabies, like just, yeah. So not to belabor the point, but there is a precedent for kits like these, and they are very heavily used and enjoyed in the library.
So these are
collection.
things you would check out and use them, bring them
Yeah,
back.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So, and we can sort of modify the loan rules. So traditionally, our Library of Things will circulate for 3 weeks.
Right.
But the Explorer Packs only go out for 1 week, just to give families less time to lose the pieces. So, yeah, that's something that we can talk about, and figure out our priorities where these kids are concerned.
So here's a question. Are other, I mean, this sounds like a really fantastic idea. Are other libraries in other towns doing things like this too? Sort of going beyond the like, whole concept of books?
Oh, yes. Oh, you mean the Library of Things?
Yes,
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 yes. This
yes.
is, yeah, it's called like non-traditional materials. Yeah, absolutely, yes. This is, yeah, we're very on trend.
I saw a couple of
Middle-
TV programs about that. There's a lot of that going on.
Middleborough calls it a sharebrary.
So
They
cute.
actually,
Oh, sharebrary.
they denied my money to build these.
So we're gonna,
Really? Okay.
so we're gonna do it.
It's fine.
And make it
I said
awesome.
I'd pilot program it somewhere else. I'd give them the metrics for it.
Yeah, which we will have. We'll be able
We're
to.
progressive.
Well, we're pretty, well, I mean, Franklin's very progressive. Yeah.
They're just scared.
Is there instructions in those little kits?
Yeah, so
Good.
they're all, if you go into the kit building guide,
Yeah.
there are print materials, so those are things we would print in-house. And then for a lot of again, I bought in bulk, not just to span multiple kits, but also to try and provide some extra materials in case things break.
What are the
Which-
themes of the kits? I'm sorry, I guess.
Sure. So we have exploring biodiversity, measuring light in the night, observing pollinators, mapping mosquito habitats, monitoring air quality, and then zombie hunting. We don't actually have any zombie flies, is what they're called,
That we know.
that we know of. I did reach out to MDAR, and I'm going to connect with their apiary person. Wow. I know.
It's
It's so apiary individual, because they would be interested to use some of this data that maybe the Franklin Library would collect. But yes, we don't have.
So if you're
zombie
going to all this
air
trouble
fly.
to make these kits, and these kits will be obviously multiple kits and widely available, why wouldn't schools get involved in something like this? Like to actually have them work with the library to do something like this, a project or something?
Oh, what a great question. I'm actually going to be meeting with one of the heads of curriculum over in the Office of Teaching and Learning next week, so I will bring that up.
The Franklin schools are supposed to be really progressive and really, really excellent, but they don't always take advantage of things like this. So I hope you are successful. I wish they did more of this kind of stuff outside of the traditional school, personally.
Yeah, and I think that's
Well,
sort of
because
where
we've
we're
tried,
like a natural
We've
intersection.
tried, she's tried.
I
It's
have an
not
update
easy.
on that later.
It's not easy. It should be a lot easier, it should be a lot easier than it has turned out to be. I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we're sort of like uniquely positioned to sort of like provide that support where it's like, hey, like teacher that wants to go rogue, like
I mean,
we've
it's the
got this stuff for you.
library. Come on, it's the library. Yeah, I mean, I think you're in a better position than, say, a town commission or something like that, or maybe a town, agent, probably, to be honest. You're probably in a better, more accepting role, the library, when it comes to the library.
I'll be your conduit there.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is like a no-brainer. Come on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a fabulous
I'd like to
idea.
say that, if this goes well, we're still here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, yeah, like, we can't afford this.
you know,
Come on.
Come back for.
Oh, we're really, no, we can't, no.
How many kids will this make, Rick Line?
Just 6.
6? That's all.
And again, just because I'm always playing devil's advocate, the wetlands fund does have to have a wetland component.
Sure.
So what's nice about these is they all do.
Right.
You gear people towards our open space conservation areas. Obviously, I expect people to do it in their backyards. I would like them to as well.
Yeah.
But it has to have something.
Very nice.
Yeah, so what I was reading in it is very interesting, and, I have school-age children, so they're all into that. And I actually rummaged through the the stuff that's across from it. It's like I already have some of the stuff, but one of the things that, I think most people would benefit from, this, but also what you, and thank you for providing, those other items in there. One of the things that caught my attention was the, was it a photo digitizer thing? I think you had one in there. I remember some time back, somebody was asking if somebody had, on Facebook, if somebody had something like that, and I didn't know it at the time, and then I knew it later. So, just out there, you can, not spend money on it if it's like a one-time thing.
Right.
It's there, so
Cake
I'm
pans,
glad that
like
you
the
you
weirdest
have
stuff.
that offered to the community for sure. Very excited for this. Yeah, I'm up for it.
Love it.
So we vote?
Yeah, so vote to approve the request, the financing request for the citizen science case purchase.
I approve.
Okay, everybody, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, approved, thank you.
Great idea.
Okay,
Good idea.
next on the list is the permanent Delcart Story Walk sign.
You did say that you're still here.
We're still here.
I'm still here as
In
well.
the future, we'll still be here when you come back for more.
But we'll still be here now, too.
Oh,
so.
wonderful. Yes.
No,
So-
we want more good ideas like this.
Yes, right.
Wonderful. Yeah, hopefully you like this one too. So the library has been, just for background context, we have been unintentionally going rogue. I'm so sorry. I guess this is also my like apology for not knowing that you were the board that I should go before to ask permission to do this a million years ago. But we, way back in like 2017, I was a brand new children's librarian, just wanted to like do fun, cool stuff. Reached out, I was trying to figure out like how would we go about doing a story walk? So I reached out to the folks at Rec, because I was like, Parks and Rec, right? Parks, okay, like yeah, what should I do? And my contact there at the time, who's no longer there, was like, oh, like Delcart would be a great spot because they have that small loop.
Yep.
And so we did it as like a one-off fun event. We picked a story together. We got the tax workers involved. We had this fun event using recycled materials, with a little craft at the end where families could walk the story walk together, and then we did a craft. It was just like a cute little one-off thing. And then we kept it up for a little while, and then people really liked it, and they just kept asking for them, and I just kept making them. And I turned it into this thing where we just would, kind of switch them out quarterly. And especially during COVID, that was a huge thing. Because I was like, this is something like actionable that we can do, that like people can be outside and like connect to literature and moving in the library. And so, the way that story walks work is you actually like physically dismantle 2 copies of a picture book. it feels real weird to be like tearing it up, but that's the best way to do it to avoid copyright issues. We laminate the pages, put them together on storyboards, and what I've been using for the last almost 8 years is like blank yard signs, which is like not great. It's not environmentally great. It's not very cost effective. So I've always wanted to create permanent storyboards along that loop. I did try to kind of ease off the brakes just from a burnout perspective the last few months, and got like a dressing down from some angry patrons that were like, when's the next one going up? So just in those conversations, we're talking about the citizen science kits and everything else. I just was like, Bricolage, can I pick your brain? Like, what would I need to do to like go about making permanent storyboards a reality? And so here I am.
So, am I understanding that you want essentially a permanent little kiosks, which would then house the different pages?
Exactly.
And the pages could be just swapped out.
Yes.
On the existing structure.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So permanent structures. So it's really just a question of permission at this point.
Yeah.
And how you would like her to go about receiving that permission. So you could do RDA or MBZA. I doubt it wouldn't need an NOI.
Yeah, oh yeah, we just did that. Yeah,
Well,
that's
which
easy.
one?
Probably.
And the reason is typically, you know, I would just guide someone, but this is your conservation area,
Right,
so
yeah.
you are the presiding.
Right.
You
Well,
are,
I mean,
you
we
are
want-
the
we
top
want
tier
to
here.
do things like this. We want
Yeah.
to engage,
I guess it-
things that are engaging, things that bring, especially like the children, and, you know, we definitely, absolutely, we've always been huge, I mean, why did we put the playground in? I mean, why? Well, that was the whole point. You know, maybe they'll, after they play on the swings, they'll walk around the pond or something with their parents, you know, and their dogs. Right? I mean, that was kind of the idea. So, we were trying to make it family.
Yeah.
Right. And tons of people come there now. I mean, people come from different states now to go to Delcart.
You have a parking problem.
Well, yeah, we have a major parking problem in Delcart.
Yes, we do.
Possibly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always been.
Well, and
like-
we also have two, quote, parking areas, the one that's finished and the one that's not.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit over in the east
I know,
overshoot.
but I mean, it is true, we really don't have room anymore, especially because a lot of people come and use the playground.
Well,
And they fish. And
we tend to make it more popular in places to go, but we've got to give them some room to go.
Yeah. Maybe like a theatrical stop. That's kind of like.
Love it.
Anyway, okay.
Ready to go.
But anyway,
Okay.
I think it
I think her idea is-
sounds pretty easy.
Yeah, that's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I mean, either one,
Kind of.
the MBZA just alleviates people from needing to file DEP, but it's the
Oh, yeah.
same, it's the same.
Yeah, no, we don't want that, so, no, not both signs.
Come on, keep
So-
it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, MBZ, so we'll do that.
Okay, so then with that, I need you to pick out what structures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and we need to know
Like a
what
map,
you're
Google map,
getting,
you know.
what
Yeah,
type of
that's it.
signs.
Yeah.
I'd reach out to Natalie with DPW.
Okay.
Kate,
Great, perfect.
Tony, but if you go to them, you'll get to Tony. So go to them first.
Okay.
Okay, so one thing I want to say, not to be Debbie Downer, but after we did all that work, putting all the things together in Delcart, for the first maybe 1 or 2 years, not long, but for the first 1 or 2 years, we had a bunch of idiots go in and wreck stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had a scout project that came in and put up little kiosks.
Oh, that was
about-
Scouts.
About, like, you know, like you would find in like a, you know, like a US park or something like
Like
that.
the trails?
Yeah,
Like
the
the
trails,
trail.
right. And those were really nice until some
Somebody
idiots went in
And nuked them.
and nuked those two, right? So I'm just saying, that has happened in the past, just so you know. We fixed them, we put them back, it didn't happen again. Eventually they stayed, but we did have some idiots go in and like, you know, when we put like the nice wood railings in over the dams, kick those out through the wood and
That
it's
still
just really
happens.
stupid.
No, that still happens. In
The general
Sibby,
public, man, you know?
The Eagle Scout that recently did a project at Delcart
Yeah.
City. Yeah, his are gone.
Really?
Yeah, it was gone within the first month.
Really?
Like to catch them.
So just in case you all think I don't have anything else to do.
We'd leave them
So,
work.
how many of these little kiosks do you?
So what I'm proposing is 20. The kicker is that every picture book is a different length.
Right.
And so that's always kind of been like noodling around whenever I think about what this could, like the reality of this kind of project. But what I think it presents is a really fun opportunity for some like creativity and some sort of like collaboration, departmental collaboration. So, you know, we could use, like, if a book that we choose is shorter than 20 pages, we could use those extra pages to kind of highlight, like, hey, like, here's stuff to look for while you're on the trail. Here's like some events that are coming up, whether they're at the library or at Delcart or, you know, conservation events or like anything. There's a lot of really fun sort of like creative space to work with that I am actually really excited about.
So you wouldn't do like a Harry Potter book or anything?
No, it would be like a picture.
It's
Yeah, choosing the books is the best part, actually. And I try to kind of tie them into whatever season we're in. So there's a winter one right now. I actually have another one to go up that I was going to put right before winter break starts. Since I was a little late on the fall one and got in trouble, I was like, I gotta step it up for December.
Is that something like the Tri-County would build for you?
That's the next question. If you all are, you know, on board with this concept, I didn't even want to go there until I knew it would, that you were in favor of it. Yeah, whether it's Tri-County or an Eagle Scout, you know, figuring out funding would be sort of the next.
We can involve other groups inside.
Yeah,
Franklin.
I did.
That's a good idea.
I don't know if I can say this. I did kind of poke my head into DPW about when I was returning their cones from our trunk or treat, to ask, you know, and I think they seem to be in favor of me pursuing outside.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
so you know.
We want to go outside,
Yeah, so, yes, we'll see what we can figure out.
So would it cover I know, like, I've been there, like, I've taken my, you know, we have fun, it's great, it's enjoyable read the stories, and you gotta make sure you go to the right trail. Are you
Yes.
gonna expand the trail, like, as far as like the walk to existing, or are you gonna go for, you know, all around?
Yeah, my intention was initially to keep it in that same loop,
Okay.
and maybe we add some arrows to make it a little. I've only ever had one real solid complaint
I'm just
of
bad
someone
with directions.
of someone
Yeah.
that's like, we kept thinking it just ended and we didn't understand, and then we realized that I try to place them in a way that, like, if you're looking, you can see the next one far enough, like it's close enough that it'll kind of lead you on. We do it kind of a reverse loop so that you end up kind of right where you started, where the when you kind of come out through the past the water, you end up pretty close to there and can scoop back, especially with like littles. I mean, I think it is very toddler friendly. It's not stroller friendly, which I have to tell people all the time. But if I don't know in terms of like affecting the wetlands, if that would be a worthy, but I mean, that's something we could talk about.
If you stated it with paths, you're
Yeah,
not
we can
gonna.
stay in the path.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So no, it could be expanded. It seems like that loop seems to work really well for little feet. But yeah, no,
It's fun.
Everything's
Enjoy it.
figure-outable, right? So
Yeah. No, good stuff.
I'm glad you guys are on board.
Yeah, we like it.
Good job.
This is great.
I wouldn't put too much money into the signs yet,
Yeah.
because somebody's gonna tear it down.
Well, this is, it's so funny that you say this, because like, I mean, this has been, today is my 8-year work anniversary actually, and I've been doing these just about as long, and always kind of, you know, you kind of hold your breath, like, like I'm waiting for the call that a sign is missing, and I've had folks tell me every once in a while, like, I think something must be missing, and I'll go and check, and they're all there, and I don't know. We've got like guardian angels, or just, yeah.
Well, it could be also that maybe the traffic has gotten to the point where people find it harder to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
During the day, because I mean, again, this was early Delcart, when probably we didn't have even close to the traffic we have now. So, you know, people aren't out there. So you-
During
you
the
have-
day is generally fine, it's weekends.
Weekends?
Yeah, weekends and evenings.
So
I
we'll just have
pop
to
into
do
Delcart
programming.
just fine,
Okay.
yeah, and there's not, the parking lot's
But
never
I'm not
full.
happy about the Scout project. I didn't know about that.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yes.
That's just really wrong.
The general public, you know? We have that too at the library, I think.
Somebody out there that'll screw a good thing up.
I know, one person ruins it for everybody, yeah, exactly.
But it's a great point to be kind of light on our feet in terms of, you
Yeah.
know, figuring out how to make things easy to replace. Yeah, great point.
So what's the next story?
Oh my gosh, what is the next story? Right now, I think it's Winter Lullaby, or did I already do that one? Or maybe that's the one that's next. I try to go a couple months out, so they are a bit labor intensive to make with the blank yard signs. So the creation of the permanent story box will make things a little easier, and it will be a little bit easier to replace. We can sort of swap them out more frequently, and we can reuse them if they're protected, and so that's really exciting. What is the next one? It's in my office right now. I walk by it 100 times a day.
And I think every other kid out there is looking forward to it. So
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Sorry,
all
I had to
that
wait
you
to
do.
the-
I learned a lot tonight.
Bring it
Save the
over.
best for last.
Sorry you had to wait to the very end.
No, this was incredibly educational for me. I learned a lot. Thank you for all of your work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, you
Thanks for
too.
everything. I'll see you soon. Definitely. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Okay, now it's Delcart end of year report.
Yes. Where is it? So, not much to report. We didn't have much of a notable change even from past years for those that have been on the commission. The water chestnut is continuing to go down. They usually include a map. I thought they had, but I must have been thinking about the last one. Anyways, the health of the pond, the dissolved oxygen is steady, which is great for aquatic wildlife habitat. That was something that usually comes up from the commission in years past, is to make sure that what we're treating it with isn't impacting, immediately impacting anyways any of the wildlife. The recommendation is to continue treatment. We're not gonna have that conversation right now. We'll have that conversation in a couple months, but did just wanna let you know everything was fine. You did have an overall decrease of 14.28 acres, though, of water chestnut.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Is that drought
The
based?
drought.
Or is that just,
No, that's from their treatment. That's pretty consistent, actually,
So-
from what you
so-
see from previous years.
oh, not water, I
Water
misunderstood.
chestnut.
So years,
I misunderstood.
years and years ago, we talked about actually stocking this pond after, and one of the reasons why we wanted to do treatments was we wanted to get the invasives down to the point where we could actually put some reasonable species in and not have like those stupid codfish or whatever it is that basically eat everything. So, Mike, it sounded, and
Yep,
our
carp.
original idea was we would be way past that point now and people would be fishing their butts off in Delcart. We are not clearly near that at this point.
No, and you have a very healthy population of invasive carp, so.
It's the carp, okay, it's the
It's the
carp,
carp.
yeah. So it's the carp. Problem is that carp would basically eat everything, all the fish that you put in there, basically, yeah. So you basically have to get rid of the carp.
Mhm.
So whatever happened to that part of the plan, that just like dissipated, that's just gone?
I wasn't there,
Oh, you
but
weren't- you
yes,
weren't
I
there,
would,
that's right.
yeah.
But that was originally part of the plan, the 5
Yeah,
or
I
10 year
recall
plan,
you-
whatever it was. I mean, there is a plan that's sitting on my shelf in my den, which basically has that as one of the phases, which is getting rid of the carp and putting in fishable species and making it more diverse than just carp. So,
Seems to
You
me,
do have
though,
panfish in
the problem would be, is the nature of the pond is that you're gonna have to, at a certain point in time, keep treating it, and then getting rid of, somebody's gonna throw a carp in there, and there, off you go to the races again.
Yeah.
So,
Because carp is like invasive fish.
yeah, the
Yeah.
maintenance of it is going to be, would be, unless we go in and dredge it. Maybe not.
The problem with the carp, I mean, you know, I grew up down there, so
Yeah,
the carp come up that brook.
Ah,
The carp
okay.
come up that brook, cause I can see them in the spring going up the brook by my house,
Okay.
and I can remember year after year, Ernie Delcott, who owned it then, would drain all those ponds, all his ponds,
Kill
to
the
get
carp.
rid of the carp.
Uh-huh.
He'd drain it right down to just a little trickle down the middle,
Yeah.
and then, you know, re-dam it, but carp spawn and come up that river every year. So I don't think you're gonna get rid of the carp. I mean, you might get rid of them for 1 year, but they'll be back the next.
Wow, no fish are known to coexist with carp in the wild in Massachusetts.
Right.
I didn't realize they were that bad.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Up over the dams.
They eat everything. They eat
And
all
the trouble is, they're not very good eating.
They eat all the fish.
There is a way of
Wow.
mitigating them from coming up, but
Oh,
it's
yeah?
very expensive.
Yeah.
Mean little buggers.
Like the
Yeah.
measures of that would be.
Well, and the way that Delcart flows is conducive, and they're always going down.
Right.
So it's not
Yeah.
up isn't an issue for them, they're always going over the spillway.
Yeah.
So there's,
I do remember that we had a discussion on this years ago about exactly like, there was some sort of like a beaver disease, it was like some sort of something to keep the carp from migrating, and we were told.
Yeah, it's
lot-
very expensive.
We'd have to essentially re-engineer the dams to incorporate these structures.
Yeah, it's like
So-
like a carousel almost. They would, yeah.
Okay.
I guess that gets to what is our goal? What are we trying to achieve?
Well, we were trying to, the original idea was to take a dump that was filled. I mean, you guys weren't there. It was filled with just junk.
Mhm.
I mean, shopping carts, car tires, I mean, big junk, little junk. Everybody was throwing stuff in there forever. It was crazy. Took us a year and a half to get all that stuff out. I mean, it was massive, trucks and trucks and trucks. It was crazy. Ladders, you have no idea, crazy. No, it was insane.
That's bad.
It was insane. Turn it into a recreation area, that was the one idea, right?
Okay.
But a recreation area that would highlight conservation and keep it sort of pristine, again, giving it a place that people could go on, get back to nature, you know, and it's a very nice, we always thought it looked really nice in the fall, but you couldn't do anything with it, and this is back when the dams were earthen. You know, there were no dams like you have now, it was all earth dams, and it was really shoddy, and they were always breaking and flooding downstream, so houses were getting flooded, the whole nine yards, and the beavers would come up, and it was a whole thing, yeah. So all of that, right, so that's when we built this 7-year, I think it was a 7-year plan, on essentially creating what would be, now then become a recreational place for people to go. And that was the vision, and it worked. I mean, we did it.
It did.
It was amazing. We
It's
did it.
beautiful.
It is good.
I mean, if you guys saw pictures before and after, you would like just freak.
Yeah.
You cannot imagine, it was crazy. So, but it worked, we did it.
It did.
Yeah, we did it, but again, part of that idea was.
Was fishing.
Was fishing,
Yeah.
because it went back to its roots as a fishing hole, but.
I think
mean-
you still have kids fishing for the carp.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know, but it's not the same thing.
no, I'm just saying.
It's a
that,
shallow
I think
pond
relative
anyway.
to-
Well, yeah,
to-
I
to
mean,
Michael's
I know.
comment,
I mean,
there's
I was
still
thinking about
reason.
something, like we go up to, we used to take my kids into, what's the thing off 135, going into Hopkinton, you know, it's that big lake that's over in there, you know, it's like that big
It's
lake.
got the big name on it. No.
Whatever there's a huge lake, there's
Yeah, it's a
houses.
state
around it.
park, right?
No, not Ashland, no, it's in Hopkinton, you go up and it's like, Hopkinton's this way, and then you go this way off 495, and it's basically, like
I've
this
seen
huge
it, but I
lake.
can't remember the
Yeah,
name.
whatever that
Yeah.
is, right? But we used to take the kids and do the fun, like sunfish, like
Yeah.
sunfish and stuff like that, and that was great, yeah, that was fantastic. But, that was a vision that I had in my head, but then you have the stupid carp that eat everything. and you can't
Whitehall
put it in there.
Reservoir?
Yeah, something like that, yeah, something like that. But, I mean, if we can't do it, we can't do it. That's too bad, stupid.
We did good, though.
Oh, no, it's, I mean,
We just,
oh, it's amazing.
Well, the reason I asked is because, so is continued treatment gonna get us to our goal?
Well, we're not, you can discuss that, but we're not to that point yet.
Right.
Yeah. So this is just an end of year report. We'll go out to bid or discuss it next year when it's an open season. And then they'll also remind us saying, hey, would you like to re-up your contract?
That's what I'm saying.
So you can talk about it now. I'm just trying to.
I think kids do like to fish there still, so it's probably, I mean, it's just carp, right, but you see kids fishing, so that's a reason to
Okay.
clear, I mean, just as a thought, yeah.
Well, people swim there too, and they canoe there and all that sort of stuff. You don't.
They swim?
Yeah, people swim. They do.
You've seen people swimming?
Yeah, they do. In the summertime.
You go late at night, Roger, you don't know what you're gonna see.
Guys.
I'm with you, Roger. Yeah.
Guys.
Is that where the Hexies packets come from?
What?
Hexies? Edible packets?
don't
I
know.
find those all over Delcart.
What are those? I don't even know what they are.
They're gummies.
Special
They're just-
gummies?
Mm-hmm.
They're just littered
Mm-hmm.
down
Oh, no
Which is
kidding.
unfortunate. Like, I like that they're going outside, but
Yeah.
throw it away.
Yeah,
Let's go.
don't even get
Come on,
me,
guys.
don't even get me started on that. It's stupid. Don't even. Okay,
I can run through comments really quickly. I'll move
Good.
the Friends of Franklin liaison to January 9th. Master Plan liaison update. The Master Plan Board did receive the letter from Conservation Commission, written by your chair, that was delegated out to the subcommittee. So the subcommittee chair will then receive it. So hopefully that's received well.
Do we know who the subcommittee chair is?
Yep, Megan Hagan. So hopefully that's received well. Otherwise, the comment letter was strategically written as well to the planning board chair, because the planning board is actually the only body that needs to vote on the master plan. And then Tom Mercer was also CC'd on it because there's been a big push to have town council look at it as well and give their honorary stamp of approval. So regardless if subcommittee doesn't remove it or master plan doesn't remove that objective, there are still 2 more bodies. My update, I'll move Schmitz Farm and Maple Hill to January 9th, and then just for you, I have 2 things. I did just send you an email about Callie. I love that you guys were trying to bump her up, but respectfully, I ask all town staff if they're okay going late and last to acknowledge residents and other applicants when they're here. So that is just so you know, everybody's in agreement with that. But then I would also just caution, especially when we're in the middle of public hearings, bumping up someone and showing preferential treatment.
right, it's true,
Especially if they're town staff.
true. That's
This is
true.
our job, this is why we're here.
True.
So you got an email from me about that, but it's friendly, it's just my job. But this ties into records requests, so I've gotten a substantial records request. At this point, I'm not gonna name names, but going back, looking at all communications, so all emails, all meetings, and it is imperative, especially with the way that things are out there, with building, with how things have been put on hold, with applicants just picking up the phone and calling town council, that everything, all of our Ts are crossed and all of our Is are dotted. Like showing preferential treatment. Even if it's just being nice, everybody has to be held to the same standard. If we all maintain the same threshold, nobody has to rise to the occasion. So, it would help me a lot if that was adhered to by you as well.
Good input. Duly noted.
Thank you. But yes, I have a substantial records request that is going to be taking a lot of my time, and then with all of the 11 public hearings that we have.
So is that like meeting notes and?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm going back to 1950s. It's actually quite fun. It's quite,
1950.
We're still getting a lot of backlog. It's a little frustrating.
You can go to every other meeting. That's what planning board does. So 15 Liberty Way was on this meeting. Now they would be on the late January meeting. So you wouldn't have this, long list. I will say it's not uncommon, it's winter, that's permitting season.
True.
Or almost winter anyways. Additionally, surprisingly, I thought with people having 3 weeks off to provide information, we would have everything, but
Well,
somehow.
You live in
we
hope and die in
didn't.
despair.
So I think people need the structure of quick turnaround. So there's that.
The guy from King Street,
He did not submit information.
yeah, I was surprised, because that seemed really close, like it was.
Agreed.
Yeah,
No,
it was
he
surprising.
asked me if I went out to the site again.
I drove by. I can see why he wanted to clear a few things. It's
Should not talk
really
about it.
jungly.
I have one request. So since I am no longer on the board of the MAC, we probably should remove the MAC.
Probably. Other than that, that's all I have.
Well, thank
Right
you.
at 10.
Good job.
Well,
There you go.
And the clock is wrong.
Told you.
Are we done?
Recording stopped.
thank you, guys. I knew this would be a late one.
So, motion to close?
Motion to close.
We didn't close the meeting.
Stop the recording. It's fine, continue.
So, yeah, second?
Second.
Close.
Close.
Close. Undebatable.